Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Crossing Luffy, Creating a Happy Ending in One Piece. Chapter 41. After resolving the incident of the Don Quixote family assassins, the Straw Hat adventurers continued to move towards the ancient island of Little Garden. Luffy also took this opportunity to sort out his recent gains. He also changed the original fate of some people at Whiskey Peak, and gained 1000 transformation points and Light Float Fruit Bomb Fruit and Wax Fruit. He helped Chopper defeat Wapol in the Drum Kingdom, and gained 1000 transformation points and Swallow Fruit and now has 6000 transformation points. It can be said that this trip was fruitful. Luffy, are you really not afraid of Doflamingo's revenge? He is also a Shichibukai. Vivi asked worriedly beside him. Don't worry, he is just a Shichibukai. We don't care about him now. He is very weak, Luffy said calmly. Even the attack of the Shichibukai can no longer make them feel threatened. The relaxed atmosphere of Luffy and his crew also gradually relaxed Princess Vivi's nervous nerves. By the way, Vivi, don't you want to save your country? Instead of pinning your hopes on others, why not try it yourself? Even if you fail, we are still here. Luffy smiled mysteriously. No, I can't do it. I'm so weak, I can't change anything. Vivi waved her hands quickly. In fact, it's not completely impossible to make you at least have the strength to confront Crocodile head-on. Don't worry, you don't have to rely on being beaten to avoid exceeding your physical limits like other crew members. It's not about whether you can do it, but whether you want to. But how could there be such a way to quickly increase strength in the world? Vivi was a little frustrated. Why not? Look at what this is. After saying that, Luffy took out the natural system, snow fruit he had just harvested. Vivi was surprised and said, This is it. Luffy nodded and said, this is the fruit of the snow girl Monet, and now it is in my hands. I thought about it and decided that I couldn't leave this fruit alone, and it wouldn't be appropriate to give it to someone else. This is a natural fruit after all, and it is of the same grade as Crocodile's sand fruit. Don't look at Monet as weak. In fact, this fruit is not weak at all. Monet relies too much on the elementalization brought to her by this fruit. She doesn't have any domineering power at all, and her fruit ability is also developed in a mess. Once she meets a strong man who can use domineering power, she can only be slaughtered. Of course, it is true that the natural fruit is hard to beat in the first half of the Grand Line. Eat it, as long as you develop it well in the future and train your domineering power seriously, you will also have a good combat power. Smoker. Who are you in yin and yang? Who are you in yin and yang? Luffy has also thought carefully. If he wants to pull Vivi on board in the future, he must first let her regain her confidence and strengthen herself. Don't keep everything in your heart. And now, there is a ready-made powerful fruit that can provide timely help to Vivi. It is also a problem that Princess Vivi must stay in the kingdom of Alabasta to improve people's livelihood in the future. If this problem is not solved, it will be difficult to coax Vivi on board. However, this matter has already been figured out. Otherwise, he would not have told Mr. Dragon to let Sabo go to Alabasta. Ace is also staying in Alabasta now, notifying Sabo to go, and the three brothers will meet again in Alabasta. Reunion is just one of the purposes. If Sabo goes to Alabasta, he will definitely find that Alabasta is undercurrent and wars are frequent as a staff officer of the Revolutionary Army. Then as a side of the Revolutionary Army, he will not sit idly by, and once the Revolutionary Army intervenes in the affairs of Alabasta, Alabasta will become more chaotic in a short period of time. This is both a crisis and an opportunity. Luffy also has Mr. Dragon's Den Mushi in his hand. Wait until the three brothers meet again, and when Sabo completely recovers his memory. Mr. Long will also be alarmed. Whether Mr. Long is in Alabasta or not, the leader of the Revolutionary Army can be brought here legitimately. When the Revolutionary Army lands in Alabasta and promotes a consensus with King Cobra of Alabasta, a way out can be found. In the original work, Vivi did not join the Straw Hat Pirates, which is also a big regret for Luffy. However, this time, the Alabasta incident must be perfectly resolved and Vivi must join the Straw Hat Adventure Group. Luffy cut off his thoughts, looked at Vivi and asked, so, are you willing to eat this snow fruit? With it, you will at least have enough strength to protect yourself. But, such a precious natural devil fruit. Can you really give it to me? Vivi's eyes were bright, but she was a little hesitant. Devil fruits are only precious in people's hands. Vivi, you have been with us all the way. Ask yourself, we have been inseparable partners for a long time, right? Luffy persuaded. Others also persuaded Vivi to accept the fruit. Everything must be done personally and strive to achieve, only then it is meaningful. After a long time, Vivi finally agreed to accept the devil fruit. However, although she accepted Luffy's domineering teaching, she refused Luffy's accelerated domineering training, because she wanted to move forward step by step now. Name: Nefertari Vivi. Observation Haki. Not awakened. Armament Haki. Not awakened. Physical skills. Navy 6 styles and its extended skills, not started. Fruit ability. Natural system Snow Fruit Awakening progress 5%. After that, the Straw Hat Adventure Group held a banquet on the ship, and time passed quickly. In the afternoon, they finally arrived at the ancient island Little Garden. The island shrouded in clouds and mist loomed in the sea. The Straw Hat Adventure team of 8 people plus a fast runner, Vivi's mount prepared protection and boarded this rarely visited ancient island. Because Mr. Friday, Mr. Valentine's Day, and Mr. Wednesday were solved in advance, there would naturally be no more wars with the Baroque Works Society on this island. A group of 8 people plus a duck boarded the small garden unimpeded. Because of the difficulties of navigation on each island in the Grand Line, there is no communication between the islands. As a result, each island has developed its own civilization. There are islands with high civilizations, and there are also islands that have remained the same for thousands and tens of thousands of years without any progress. Because the chaotic climate of the Grand Line makes all kinds of things possible, this island still maintains the appearance of the dinosaur era, with not only dinosaurs but also large beasts, and all kinds of things are very huge, just like a giant's garden. Therefore, some people call this ancient island a small garden. Everyone groped their way forward on the rugged mountain road on the island. Along the way, they also saw incredible wonders in other places: prehistoric giant birds soaring in the sky, jungle giants that looked like tigers lying on the ground and dozing, and a huge dinosaur occasionally appeared in the deep mountains and old forests. In the jungle, huge prehistoric mosquitoes appeared in an endless stream. Everyone carefully avoided them. When they encountered unavoidable contact, they used armed color domineering to resist. When they encountered giant beasts that came to hunt them as prey, they quickly killed them in seconds, trying not to completely change the ecological civilization of the island. The rugged mountain path was extremely narrow at first, and only one person could pass through. After walking dozens of steps, it suddenly became clear. A huge lake appeared in front of everyone. Countless long-necked dragons lived here, and prehistoric giant crocodiles also reproduced here. However, what was surprising was that the creatures living in this lake were actually at peace with each other, as if they had reached a consensus in a certain sense that no battle would break out in this lake. The lake was quiet and peaceful, forming a sharp contrast with the jungle law dozens of steps away. However, the Straw Hat adventurers had no time to be surprised, because in the distance, a giant stood up and walked towards them. The giant was wearing heavy armor, a helmet, holding a huge sword in his right hand, a round shield in his left hand, with a long beard, and a unique laugh, "Gegyagyaga." After the giant walked in front of them, he spoke, "Hello. Are you traveling to this island? Welcome to your arrival, let's go to the party together. In this world, you can have a party at any time and any place." When everyone saw such a huge giant, they all looked tense, but seeing that the giant had no ill intentions, they relaxed. The Straw Hat Pirates followed the giant to an open space, and the giant filled the wine and invited everyone to drink together. At this time, another giant also came. This giant was also wearing armor and a helmet. His weapon is an axe, and his unique laugh is "Gababababa." "I am Blue Oni Tori. I am Red Oni Broki." The two giants introduced themselves. In the year 1420 of the Sea Circle calendar, 100 years ago, the two giants were captains of the giant pirates. At that time, Tori and Broki each captured a sea king, and because of a little girl's question, they began to argue about whose prey was bigger. After that, the two had been dueling in the small garden, and only the one who survived could return to his hometown, and agreed to duel every time the volcano in the center of the island erupted. It was also because the duel was always evenly matched that the giant pirates disbanded, and the warriors returned to Elbaf village to wait for news. Hello, I am Monkey D. Luffy, nice to meet you. Luffy replied politely, and the other partners also introduced themselves politely. The two giants laughed strangely and happily invited the Straw Hat adventurers to have a banquet together. After 3 rounds of drinking, Usopp also asked the two giants, "Two uncles, why do you want to stay on this ancient island? It seems that there are no other people on this island. Don't you have a tribe?" Hearing this, Donley and Brokey put away their smiles. Donley recalled, "The name of our village is Elbaf, where our giant tribe lives. There are rules in our village. If two giants fight, they must accept the justice of the Lord Elbaf. The two giants must duel to decide the winner. Lord Elbaf will always bless the winner." Brokey took a sip of wine and continued, "Now this island is the arena for Donley and me. The two of us will fight to the end. Only one person can win. Only one person can go back alive. Speaking of which, we have been fighting here for 100 years. In the past 100 years, we have fought every time there was a volcanic eruption. But we have forgotten why we fought 100 years ago. Ha 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 ha. 100 years. Everyone was extremely surprised. Ha 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 ha. Yes, we giants are a long-lived race. Both of us are over 100 years old this year. But for us giants, we have just reached young adulthood." The two giants said proudly. Zoro was speechless. He had fought for a full 100 years but had forgotten the reason for the fight. However, he would not expose the scars of the two giants. Wei Wei asked, "But even if you have a long life, now you have forgotten the reason for fighting in the past 100 years. What is the point of continuing to fight?" The two giants stood up suddenly. Ha 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 ha. "Little girl, you ask the meaning of fighting. The reason for fighting. What reason does fighting need? What meaning does it need? We only need one person to win. So no matter what happens, we will be the same as always." Quote, "Yes, this is very giant." Luffy then said, "Then I wonder if the two giants know the major events and changes that have taken place in Elbaf in the past few decades." The two giants were naturally very concerned about their hometown, and immediately sat down and asked, "What happened in Elbaf? Although that incident has been decades ago, I still decided to tell you about the situation of the Elbaf giants that I learned not long ago and what happened after the disbandment of the giant pirates." Luffy paused and continued, "As for whether you stay or go after you know it, it depends on you. First of all, about 63 years ago, an orphan named Charlotte Linlin was brought to Elbaf by human traffickers disguised as nuns and lived in an orphanage called Lamb's House. At first, there was peace for a few years, but the good times did not last long. Charlotte Linlin, who was 5 years old at the time, went crazy for unknown reasons and destroyed a village in Elbaf, causing considerable casualties. Then the giant elder Yorulu was ready to execute Charlotte Linlin, but he was defeated and died of serious injuries. After that, Charlotte Linlin escaped from Elbaf and established a pirate group, which has been developing to this day. Charlotte Linlin has become one of the 4 sea emperors in the New World, 4 emperors Big Mom." Quote, Sanji was shocked when he heard this. No wonder the name Charlotte Linlin sounded so familiar. She is the current 4 emperors. After hearing this, the two giants were all shocked, and then they were extremely angry. They didn't expect that they would encounter such a big change in their tribe after just 100 years of absence. However, the two of them were elders of the giants after all, and they quickly calmed down. Even if they had no contact with the outside world, they knew what the 4 emperors were. Rash actions would only increase casualties. The next thing is the second thing. Casey and Oimo of your giant pirates went out to sea to find you 50 years ago. However, after they went out to sea, they were deceived by the world government and thought that you had been captured by the navy. The world government threatened them that if they wanted to exchange for your freedom, they would have to guard the world government's judicial island for 100 years. Luffy said directly. The world government threatened them that if they want to exchange your freedom, they must guard the world government's judicial island for 100 years. Luffy finished speaking. What did you say? Brokey and Donley were extremely angry and shocked after hearing this. They picked up their weapons and stood up, releasing a terrifying aura. How could this be? How could this be? I heard that when Charlotte Linlin, one of the Sea Emperors, forced the giant elder Krulu to die of serious injuries, she was not so angry. After all, even if she really wanted revenge, she had to do it slowly. Moreover, in the eyes of the giants, dying on the battlefield is the best destination for being a giant. The greatest honor. No matter what he faced, Yorulu died for what he deserved. But the nature of Casey and Oimo's incident is different. This is a shame. A great shame. Giants can fight to the end and die, but they cannot be slaves. Moreover, Casey and Oimo were the bravest, most capable, and closest warriors of the giant pirates 100 years ago. How could Tori and Brookie tolerate them being bullied like this? World government, you deserve to die. You deserve to die. Even if I kill you 1,000 times, it's not enough. Tori and Brookie looked up to the sky and screamed, beating their chests and stamping their feet. Tori and Brookie suddenly fell into a long silence again, because they didn't know whether they should continue to fight here and obey the oracle of the god of Elbaf 100 years ago, or go out to sea to save their brothers. No, this won't work. We must go out to sea. We must go out to sea to save our brothers. But the judgment of the Lord God of Elbaf. The two giants paced anxiously, shaking the whole earth. Zoro, Sanji and others looked at each other, not knowing how to persuade them. At this time, Akin said, "Don't worry, two giants. Since Captain Luffy has said these things, we can definitely solve the problem in the best of both worlds." Akin has great trust and loyalty to Luffy. That's right, it's useless for you to worry now. Stopping the duel goes against your beliefs, and there's no point in rushing to go out to sea. Nami said. Sanji continued, "If you want to go out to sea to save your brothers, acting rashly will not only harm your brothers but also yourself. The enemy is the world government. Everything has to be considered in the long run. Judicial Island is the face of the world government, and it will never allow you to go there and act recklessly. Not to mention that there may be many masters on Judicial Island, the problem is that you don't know how to go there now. Once you go out to sea, you will become headless flies after being separated from the outside world for 100 years. Rushing around will only attract the attention of the enemy." These words were so decisive that Tori and Brookie were also stunned when they heard them. That's right, acting rashly will end in failure. The two giants focused their eyes on Luffy, waiting for his next words. If the two giants think that things can be done, why not learn modern navigation in the small garden and get familiar with the current sea? Nami can provide support for this matter. After that, hide near the Seven Water City and wait for us to arrive. Our next stop is Alabasta. While waiting, you can pay attention to the newspaper to learn about our movements. The time in between is uncertain, so I can't give you a specific time for your action, but you can choose when to set off according to the signal we give in the newspaper. However, I may not use the identity of Monkey D. Luffy when I go to Judicial Island, because this identity is still very useful and cannot be exposed to the world government now. But before that, we will definitely contact you and inform you of the specific action plan." Luffy handed a special Den Den Mushi to Tori and Brookie. Luffy continued, "You can't act completely in the name of the Elbaf Titans at that time, because that involves too many things, and a rash action may put Elbaf in an irreparable situation, which is definitely not the outcome that any of us want to see. If possible, I will join you in the Revolutionary Army to act together, giving the world government a big shock, and I will tell you the details at that time. While trying to completely rescue your brothers, you and the Revolutionary Army will also be respected. At the same time, on Judicial Island, I am afraid I will have my own goals that need to be accomplished with the help of a special identity, and then I will rely on you." Luffy narrowed his eyes and said, "After all, even if the storyline has changed to a certain extent, Nico Robin in the future may still be taken to Judicial Island, and everything needs to be prepared to prevent it from happening." Oh, the two giants beat their chests and promised. Luffy smiled slightly. Then there is the second thing that must be solved. I will decide the outcome of the 100-year battle, so you don't have to worry about who wins or loses anymore. Oh, how are you going to decide? The two giants became interested. Of course, I will defeat both of you alone, Luffy said firmly. Ha ha ha, you plan to challenge both of us giants at the same time, and you plan to defeat us at the same time. Are you kidding me? Dongli and Brookie both sneered. That's right, I will defeat both of you at the same time, so you don't have to worry about the outcome anymore, and both of you can go back alive. Luffy said. Ha 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 ha, interesting, really interesting, have you really thought it through? Brokey asked. Luffy, those are two giants who have been fighting for 100 years without a winner. Can it really work? Nami was also a little nervous. Don't worry, I will definitely win. I also hope that the two giants can show their true abilities to fight me. Out of respect for you giants, I can fight you with physical skills without using the power of the devil fruit. Luffy said firmly. Luffy's fighting spirit is extremely high. The war is about to begin. Luffy and the two giants, Tori and Brokey, found a wide open space on the island, which should be enough to withstand their battle. The companions of the Straw Hat Adventure group have already moved far away, not wanting to be affected by the aftermath of the battle. The prehistoric creatures on the island seemed to have sensed something, and fled away from the battle circle. The instinct of creatures is to seek benefits and avoid harm. Both giants are wearing armor and helmets, one holding a giant sword and horn shield, and the other holding a giant axe and horn shield. On the other hand, Luffy only has a simple red robe, black robe and straw hat. But there is no fear on Luffy's face, and the fighting spirit is soaring. The atmosphere is getting more and more solemn, and the battle is about to break out. Princess Vivi in the distance feels this extremely solemn pre-war atmosphere, and her legs are trembling and she has difficulty breathing. Back off further. Vivi, at this time, I'm not interested in teaching you how to breathe. Luffy shouted on the battlefield. The two giants let out a deafening and strange laugh. Very good. Kid, you still have the leisure to remind your companions at this time. But is it really good for you to be so arrogant and pay so much attention to the weak? Tori and Brokey exuded a terrifying sense of oppression. Luffy silently felt the momentum of the two giants and frowned slightly. He was sure that this was not any momentum known or seen before. This is definitely not the domineering color. This should be the most special fighting momentum that belongs to the giants. This kind of artistic conception of fighting against heaven and earth is probably the true strength of the two giants who have fought for 100 years. Feeling the pressure of momentum that is completely different from the original, Luffy did not have a trace of fear in his eyes. Very good, very good. Only in this way can it be called a whetstone. Let me experience the way the giants fight. The two giants grinned. Not bad, they are not affected at all, so they are worthy of being our opponents. Luffy smiled slightly. Are you satisfied with this? This is still a long way to go. Luffy completely released his domineering aura. In the distance, the faces of the Straw Hat Pirates turned pale, and they were greatly shocked. The strength of the captain was beyond their imagination. Zoro grinned. Only in this way can he be called our captain. This is not at the same level as the domineering aura they have felt before. The sky of the entire ancient island was dyed red at this moment. The wind and clouds surged, the sky suddenly changed, the jungle bowed its head, and everything was silent. Donley and Brokey looked at this scene with their eyes wide open, feeling the shocking momentum exuded by Luffy at this moment, and they were also facing a great enemy. Luffy's domineering aura was condensed and did not dissipate, flashing with crackling red lightning. He smiled and said, "You two, are you still enjoying it? The test is over, come on." Dongley and Brokey laughed strangely again. Ha ha ha. Good, so strong. Let's put away our contempt for you. In the past 100 years, we haven't met anyone stronger than you. You are the strongest. Now it seems that neither of us is strong enough to fight you. You are so young but so good, I'm afraid there is no human of the same age in the outside world who can compare with you. We will go all out. Then we will attack first. Elbaf's sword unparalleled. Elbaf's axe broken mountain. The two giants released a terrifying attack together. Luffy saw that the weapons of the two were all covered with armed aura, and he didn't feel arrogant. Sure enough, how could two giants who had fought for 100 years not even know how to use a domineering aura? In 100 years, even a dog can learn how to use a domineering aura. Fist Bone Crashing Star. This move is a physical skill developed by Luffy combining Grandpa Garp's fist bone attack with the Navy's 6 styles and his own physical strength. After several moves collided, a deafening roar sounded, earth and rocks flew, and the impact waves scattered. I don't know how many trees were destroyed. Countless ancient creatures screamed and ran away. A column of air rushed to the sky and directly poked a hole in the sky. No, the sky is broken, let's hide further. Zoro shouted, and led everyone to escape again. On the battlefield, the attacks of Donley, Brokey, and Luffy did not work, and now they have started close combat. Donley raised the horn shield in his left hand to block Luffy's kick, and stabbed Luffy with his right sword at high speed, shouting giant sword. Brokey raised the giant axe above his head with both hands, charged and chopped it down directly. Luffy flipped to the sky in an instant, saying that he would not use the devil fruit ability. It was all pure physical combat, punch after punch, a true manly duel. Every move was powerful and mighty. Fist, bone hellfire gun. Luffy's fist rubbed the air at high speed to produce flames, and hit Donley with one blow. Donley blocked in front of him with a shield and shouted Elbaf shield iron wall. However, Luffy's move knocked him several meters away. Donley staggered back, and his shield had cracks. He didn't understand why he couldn't completely block it even after using armament hockey. Luffy grinned, it seems that the level of armament hockey is still higher than mine. Then he jumped directly to the back of Brokey's head following the giant axe chopped down by Brokey. Although the two giants Donley and Brokey cooperated seamlessly, their large size would also limit their speed. Although Brokey understood the principle of chopping down the axe to attack the enemy, he had to keep up with Luffy's counterattack speed. Storm Kick War Trampling. Quote, Luffy's feet were filled with dark armament hockey, and he swept Brokey down and trampled on him crazily. Luffy knew that the giants were born warriors with thick skin and flesh, so he must not hold back. Being kind to the enemy was cruel to himself. Brokey. Donley saw Brokey was defeated, and he rushed forward with his sword in a hurry. In the smoke and dust, Luffy moved instantly and beat Donley back with a fist bone meteor assault from the side. At this time, Brokey finally got up and quickly joined Donley to stabilize the situation. Brokey's face was covered with blood, and he spit out a mouthful of blood foam, shouting to Donley, "Don't be careless. Donley, if we are not careful, we will be defeated one by him." Okay, Donley roared, and then put their weapons together. Elbaf fighting technique layer break. Quote, layer upon layer of waves of impact came towards Luffy, but Luffy did not panic and jumped into the air. Towards the peacock, Luffy's fist quickly hit the air, bursting out countless flaming fist winds, blocking the combined attack of the two giants, and the continuous explosions hurt the eardrums of the two giants. Am I seeing right? Donley, can human fists really produce so much flames? Is this really a physical skill? Brokey yelled. Stupid Brokey. This is Luffy's fist that is made by high-speed friction of the air. It's just that ordinary humans can be so strong. Donley shouted helplessly. The smoke and dust dissipated, and Donley and Brokey were already covered in wounds and extremely embarrassed. However, Luffy's clothes were only slightly dirty. Luffy thought to himself, the strength of these two giants is really terrible. Even if they face the four emperors, they can't beat them, but they can run away. Donley, Brokey, is it still fun to fight in close combat? Is it still fun to fight? Luffy shouted. Ha ha ha, keep going, we can still hold on. The two giants laughed. After fighting for so long, I think we might as well decide the outcome with one move. Show us your strongest skills. Show us the skills that your Elbaf giants are famous for and have passed down from generation to generation, and let's fight to our heart's content. Luffy shouted. Ha ha ha, good, you'd better take it. Don't die. The swords and axes of Donley and Brokey were combined again, and the imagined domineering and power were gathering in them. Luffy didn't dare to be careless when he saw this. After all, Four Emperors' Big Mom's Elbaf spear Wio was derived from this move. Luffy gathered the Ryuzakura domineering in both hands, ready to use the greatest physical technique developed by combining Grandpa Garp's Undersea Fall and Six Styles' secret maximum wheel Six Kings Spear. Elbaf's Spear Hegemony. Extreme Evil Destruction Fist Bone shocking the world. The two moves collided, and the huge air column pierced the sky again. The place where the two moves collided has become a vacuum zone, and unimaginable power is surging in it. No one is allowed to approach. Ordinary people cannot touch it. Touching it will kill you. After a long time, the smoke and dust dissipated, Brokey and Donley's shields were broken, the two giants lay on the ground gasping, and Luffy stood on the battlefield. Luffy's mind flashed through all the insights he had just gained from Elbaf's spear Wio, and his intuition was quite fruitful. Elbaf's Spear Hegemony vs Extreme Evil Destruction Fist Bone shocking the world. Luffy wins. At this moment, the two giants who had just finished fighting, Luffy, and the members of the Straw Hat Adventure group sat together and drank again, as if the battle just now had not happened at all. Ah, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Dongli was drinking and accidentally pulled the wound again, and immediately screamed in pain. Ha ha ha, Dongli, you are really useless. Such a small injury has turned you into this state. Although Brokey was also seriously injured, he laughed at Dongli on the side. Stop talking nonsense. It was me who took his move head on, not you. If you have the ability, come and try it. Dongli was embarrassed and angry. No, you deserve it. It's better to die than to die. Here, this is the proof that you defeated our giants, and it is also a symbol of friendship in Elbaf. Dongli handed out something, and Luffy reached out to take it. By the way, two giant uncles, what is the principle of your last move? Luffy humbly asked for advice. Ha ha ha, that's the product of our giants' fighting spirit and unique momentum combined. It's powerful, but it's still not as good as a little monster like you. Giant Brokey generously said frankly. I see, thank you for telling me, I believe I can also master this momentum in the future. Luffy exclaimed. Ha ha ha, then I wish you good luck. You are our friends of the giants, and the giants always welcome you to visit. Dongli laughed on the side. The giants are generally hospitable. If you can still defeat them in force, you will receive the highest standard of hospitality. Luffy has already begun to silently comprehend the giant power brought by Elbaf's Spear Hegemony, striving to learn this move as soon as possible and integrate it to enhance his normal combat power. At this time, he suddenly remembered something that was almost forgotten. By the way, two giant uncles, haven't you always started fighting when the volcano erupted? In the past 100 years, have you ever heard of any volcanic islands or something glowing in the magma? Luffy asked. Oh, where did you hear this? Dongli became interested. Of course it's a legend passed down by word of mouth, but no one has found it so far. Luffy replied. Indeed, many people have come here to search for treasures in the past 100 years, but they were all eaten by the jungle here because of their lack of strength, haha. Brokey replied. Do you also want to find treasures here? But your strength should be enough, haha, Dongli replied. In fact, there is no volcanic island at all. Brokey informed. What, is that legend false? Luffy was surprised. Haha, the news you heard from others is not completely false. There is indeed no so-called volcanic island, because this rumor is about this ancient island. Brokey said frankly. Look, the treasure you were looking for is in that volcano. In fact, some people were lucky enough to reach the crater before, but which fool would jump into the magma to find treasure? If you are not strong enough, wouldn't that be suicide? Haha, Dongli directly gave a heavy news. It's really hard to find it, but it's easy to get it. We have tried to get close to volcanoes before, but volcanic eruptions are indeed one of the most terrifying natural disasters, and we don't want to touch the hot magma. Besides, there is a big bird that can spit fire all year round on the crater, which is hard to guard against. Said the two giants. Everyone looked a little solemn when they heard it. How about it? Now that you know the specific news, do you want to go and see it? Luffy looked around at everyone. With such a magical thing, how can we not join in the fun? Sanji rubbed his hands in anticipation. Then I'll go and take a look too. Zoro suggested. Then we'll stay here, the others responded. The action was finalized. So, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji bid farewell to the giants for the time being, and rushed to the volcano to investigate under the eyes of the two giants. Luffy, is there really a bird that can breathe fire? It's so hot here. Sanji was so hot that he collapsed. Just try it and you'll know. Luffy smiled mysteriously, and then covered his hands with domineering and punched into the magma. An angry cry came from the magma, and a big bird bathed in fire rushed out of the magma, obviously angry. Zoro, Sanji, Luffy shouted. Zoro immediately drew his sword and swung several sharp flying slashes. Sanji stepped on the demon wind kick and flew into the sky. He beat the big bird before it could react. Not long after, the big bird fell down with an unwilling cry. After the end, the three stood on the crater and used the observation hockey to scan the inside of the volcano. Sure enough, there was something inside, but it was hidden very deep and could not be judged specifically. Let me go down. Only my haki and fruit ability can resist the magma for a long time, Luffy suggested. It's too dangerous, otherwise. Zoro hesitated. This is high-temperature magma. Do you really want to try? I'm a cyborg, maybe I can. Sanji said. No, let me do it, this is the safest, wait for me to come up. Luffy didn't say anything, and the fruit ability and Ryu's Sakura haki came out together, covering his whole body tightly, and plunged into the magma, and the magma splashed. Luffy relied on the fruit ability and strong haki to quickly dive into the lower layer of the magma. 100 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters, 400 meters, 500 meters. The deeper you go, the stronger the burning feeling of the magma will be, far exceeding any high-pressure environment. If someone who has not practiced haki well, he will be burned to charcoal the moment he enters. Even an admiral could not stay in such a scorching heat for long. He dared to do so because he relied on the special nature of the Nika fruit and had cultivated his armament haki to the limit. Boom! After diving to about 900 meters, the pressure increased suddenly. Luffy knew that he couldn't go on, otherwise the power of the Nika fruit and haki would soon be exhausted, and he would die if his physical strength was lost. 1000 meters. This is almost the limit that Luffy can reach now. Luffy quickly used his observation haki to perceive. For a while, there was no feedback from the observation haki, and Luffy wanted to give up and quickly float up to get out of the magma. Suddenly, Luffy sensed that there was a strange fruit glowing at a depth of 1000 meters in the magma. Luffy didn't have time to think about it at this time, and he dodged and grabbed it with haki, and quickly returned upwards. Not long after, Luffy jumped out of the crater in an instant, and immediately began to adjust his state without caring about Zoro and Sanji's exclamations and words. Luffy's body was red, and there were traces of burns everywhere. Even the strongest domineering and fruit ability could not completely resist the invasion of magma. After a long time, Luffy finally opened his eyes, holding the fruit in his hand. Fortunately, Zoro and Sanji had already notified Chopper, and Chopper had already arrived. Chopper did not dare to delay, and immediately fed Luffy the burn medicine, and used the Kirin fruit ability to the fullest to start treatment. The healing ability of the Kirin fruit is extremely abnormal. The burn marks began to fade quickly, and Luffy's physical strength gradually recovered. After a while, Luffy exhaled a breath of turbid air and said, "Ha, it's almost healed. Here, I'm lucky to have fulfilled my mission. Sanji, you eat it, this is originally for you." Sanji didn't say anything, and swallowed it in one gulp after the fruit cooled down. "I don't need to thank you for your great kindness." After Sanji ate it, hot golden red flames flowed all over his body, and his aura changed dramatically. This aura even dyed the sky red. People in the distance were inspired and rushed here immediately. Luffy's eyes lit up. Natural system. No, the flame fruit is not like this, and it has been eaten by Ace a long time ago. Luffy did not use the power of the system to scan, but just waited quietly for the next words. Sanji was silent for a while, feeling the power of this fruit. After a long time, Sanji finally calmed down and retracted the flames around him. "Sanji, how do you feel?" Chopper asked worriedly. "Ah, I'm fine. I feel like I have been reborn. Captain Luffy, thank you for your kindness, and my life will belong to you in the future," Sanji said excitedly. "Tell me, what is this?" Zoro extinguished Sanji's pride. "This fruit is called Animal Mythical Beast Bird Fruit Suzaku form. It is an extremely powerful mythical beast fruit. It has the supreme flame that can burn everything, and more abilities will be revealed after I develop it." "Haha, Zoro, green algae head. I can definitely beat you this time." Sanji's tail was almost up in the sky. "You are so long-winded, you pervert. Do you think you can beat me after eating the mythical beast? With such weak haki, even if you have a strong recovery ability, I can still chop you up and call you daddy." Zoro sneered. "Ha, you dare to look down on me, come and fight me if you dare." Sanji shouted. "Haha, come, watch me show you why the flowers are so red." Zoro responded domineeringly, and the two of them were about to fight. "Okay, don't argue. Although you ate the mythical beast fruit of Animal Mythical Beast Bird Fruit Suzaku form, the haki level between you and Zoro is too far apart, and there is no need to fight at all. Luffy happily watched this scene that seemed familiar to the original. Sanji's face fell immediately. Who said that the decisive power of this sea is Haki? Luffy was very excited. Haha, it's great. This time our Straw Hat Adventure group already has 3 mythical beast fruit ability users. But Captain Luffy, Zoro, Conqueror Haki is no longer exclusive to you. I have it too, Sanji said and released his powerful Conqueror Haki. Zoro was surprised, this is also possible. Hehe, my dream now is no longer just to find all blue, I want to create a world where everyone can have enough food. Sanji said excitedly. Strange thing, animal mythical beast bird fruit Suzaku form, this mythical beast fruit also helps people awaken the Conqueror Haki. This is too weird. In form, it should be that after Vinsmoke Sanji gained powerful strength, his self-confidence grew explosively, which also led to a great increase in his spirit, and the domineering aura awakened in response to his wish. The system reminded in time. Ah, that's fine. Animal mythical beast species bird fruit Suzaku form. This fruit not only has the explosive power comparable to the natural system that can permanently change the climate and celestial phenomena, but also has the unparalleled defense and recovery power of the animal system. This fruit has the following abilities. 1. Suzaku Nanming Lihuo. This flame is the supreme fire, the nemesis of all flames, and has the characteristic of burning everything. When this flame burns to the limit, it will appear white, even reaching the realm of God. 2. Suzaku Shinwei Amaterasu. In the domain of Suzaku, Suzaku is the king of the sky. It will not allow any hostile personnel to soar with it in the sky, forcing all hostile personnel to be unable to fly. Luffy listened to the introduction of the system in his mind and called it abnormal. This is another god-level fruit. Then Luffy's mind began to become active. How can the future Straw Hat Adventure team have 2 emperors? 3 emperors, originally planned to train Zoro to at least emperor-level combat power, now it seems that Sanji can't fall behind. When Sanji's devil fruit is fully awakened, when Sanji also cultivates the 3 colors of domineering to the pinnacle, Sanji will definitely be among the world's top strongmen. You know, one of the current 4 emperors, Beast Kai Moore has animal mythical beast fish fruit blue dragon form. Sanji's fruit is at least at the same level as his. Enemies who will hinder us in the future, clean your necks and wait. Whether you are standing still or working hard to become stronger, we will become stronger and stronger at an unimaginable speed until you can no longer see us. There is no opponent in front of us. At this time, the companions also came to them. Hey, Mr. Sanji actually ate the mythical beast fruit. Ajin's cold image has collapsed. What? You actually let Sanji eat a mythical beast fruit? You are so generous, so enviable. Tori and Brookie were shocked and showed emoticons. What's the matter? The captain and Chopper are also mythical beasts. Nami spread her hands helplessly. What? This cute little reindeer is also a mythical beast. The 2 giants were frightened again. You are really blessed. Quote. The 2 giants didn't know what to say. Hey, even if you say I'm cute, I won't be happy. Chopper said shyly. Vivi, I feel so hot. You have to train your Haki and work hard to develop the fruit ability of the snow fruit. Don't waste such a powerful natural system. You are now left behind by us. Usopp advised. Yes, Vivi responded firmly. Hey Captain, I have to work harder and try to get Zoro's position as vice captain as soon as possible. Sanji said proudly. You think it's a beautiful thing. Zoro smiled. Everyone returned in a happy atmosphere. Back to the camp. Name. Vinsmoke Sanji. Observation Haki. Second stage perception range increased by 25%. Armament Haki. Second stage release 19%. Conqueror Haki. Awakened initial glimpse 10%. Physical skills. Iron block. Mastered 10%. Shaving. Mastered 33%. Paper drawing. Mastered 55%. Moon step. Perfect 60%. Storm kick. Perfect 25%. Finger gun. Mastered 18%. Flash step. Mastered 45%. Collapse punch. Mastered 42%. Devil wind kick. Perfect 88%. Devil fruit. Animal type mythical beast bird fruit Suzaku form awakening progress, 13%. At this moment, a group of pirates stood in the port of Alabasta Kingdom, rapeseed flower. Mr. Sunday, is the news true? Mr. 2, Mr. 3, Mr. 5, Mr. Valentine are all out of contact. Crocodile's face was gloomy. What happened in a place he didn't know, and this affected the operation plan. I just answered truthfully, don't you believe me? Mr. Zero. Nico Robin took a deep breath. Mr. Sunday, put it in the right position. There is no trust between you and me. It's just using and being used. Crocodile said in a deep tone. Robin calmed down and said, Mr. Zero, I got the news that several people with special abilities from Baroque works are missing, and they had more or less contact with the Straw Hat adventurers before they lost contact. You must prepare for the worst now, that group of people must be very serious. Nicole Robin couldn't help but murmur in her heart. Now is a time of trouble, and if it doesn't work, she can only protect herself. Besides, Princess Vivi, who you want to kill, has been with them so far. Nicole Robin continued. Then raise the alert level for this group of people to the highest level. We are waiting here for them to fall into the trap. No matter how serious they are, I will not lose in this desert country. Crocodile said gloomily. Yes. Robin turned and left, but his mind was full of thoughts. Have you solved all the senior cadres sent by Baroque Works quietly? Monkey D. Luffy, what is your purpose? What did you mean by what you said last time you met? I'm really looking forward to meeting you next time. At this time, at the port of Alabasta, several pirates who didn't know how to live or die suddenly attacked Crocodile, which made the already unhappy Shichibukai directly kill him. With this little ability, you dare to covet the head of the Shichibukai. Isn't it better to be alive? The people in the port who witnessed this scene shouted the name of the Shichibukai. Crocodile even a little fanatical. For his ambition, Crocodile naturally arranged a series of plans in Alabasta. An important part of it was to let the people of Alabasta recognize him as a hero, so that he could kill multiple birds with one stone and achieve his goal more smoothly. Crocodile went away in the cheers of the crowd, but his face was particularly gloomy. Wait, this absurd country, these ignorant people, as long as his goal is achieved, this world will no longer have the power to stop him. Next, just wait for the key actors to come on stage. On the other side, Mr. 2 was sailing anxiously on the sea. His mission was to bring back Mr. 3, but after so many days, his mission completion was still 0. No, if I don't find that Candle Man, my life will be in danger. This strange demon in a swan dance ballet costume is Mr. 2 of Baroque Works. He sailed anxiously without paying attention to the wind and waves, and the boat was overturned by the treacherous Grand Line. At this moment, on the other side, the Straw Hat Adventure Group, which has completed all the goals of the Small Garden, has set sail, and their target is Vivi's country, Desert Country, Alabasta. Chopper, are you fishing? Fishing on the Grand Line is really a different flavor. Nami came forward and gave Chopper a fish basket. The fish you catch must be brought to the kitchen for me to deal with. Sanji's voice came from the cabin. Chopper and Mary sat together fishing. Luffy was enjoying the sea breeze at the bow, and Vivi was sitting on the deck. They were about to arrive in Alabasta, and she was in a complicated mood. At this moment, Chopper caught a strange thing with a confused look on his face, a Luffy in a ballet skirt. 2 Luffys. Vivi widened her eyes. Is there such a thing? Luffy also naturally sensed the sudden situation at this time, and looked at the scene in front of him with interest, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Knowing the plot of the original work, he naturally knew who this person was. A senior cadre of Baroque Works, codenamed Mr. 2 Von Clay. A user of the imitation fruit ability, good at human-demon boxing, with a bounty of 32 million berries. He is the only senior cadre in Baroque Works who has no partner. In the original work, he met the Straw Hat Pirates and later became a good friend of Straw Hat Luffy. He helped Luffy escape from the underwater prison and was affectionately called Xiao Fangs, human demon by countless One Piece fans. After all, in the later part of the original work, he became the queen of the demon country. How can we tell whether he is a man or a woman, right? Parahuman-type mimicry fruit can transform into anyone touched by the right hand, including face, body and voice. In addition, it has the ability to store memories. As long as it is an object that has been touched in the past, it can be imitated again. The method of use is to touch your own face with your right hand, and it will be restored with your left hand. But you cannot use the shemale boxing when imitating others. In addition, it can also imitate the synthetic face with multiple features. Luffy thought to himself. I remember that in the original work, Xiaofeng couldn't wait to show his fruit ability after being caught, and made Nami particularly angry. Sure enough, when Nami saw this she-male imitating her figure in public, she directly punched Feng Clay and knocked him unconscious. What a joke. There is such a strange fruit ability. Nami was angry. Mr. Two's series of performances really made the crew cheer again and again, and the lustful Sanji was a little regretful after Mr. Two was knocked unconscious. For Sanji, the ability of this fruit is simply giving him benefits. Luffy can't bear to look at it. Otherwise, send him to the Shemale Island to train for 2 years. Luffy turned around and asked Vivi, this is Mr. Two from Baroque Works. How is he? Do you have any impression of him? Mr. Two, isn't he a senior executive? How could he be here? Vivi exclaimed, and continued, I have never seen him either. I just heard that this senior executive seems to have no partner. And when I was lurking, I heard people say that Mr. Two is a pervert. It is said that he is a grown man wearing a dance costume with the way of she-males printed on it, and his behavior is extremely weird. Is this guy dangerous? Do we need to eliminate him, Captain? Ajin came forward. No, let's wait until he wakes up. Maybe he won't be our enemy, Luffy said with a mysterious smile. The capital of Alabasta, Abaluna. A young man wearing a gentleman's hat and carrying a water pipe on his back walked on the bustling city streets, and he did not forget to disguise himself. Hey, Sabo, Mr. Dragon didn't say we can run around. The young man called Sabo was followed by a little girl. Stop talking. Don't you realize that there is something wrong with the atmosphere in this city, no, this country? I have also asked the citizens along the way. They all said that except for the royal city, other cities have not had rain for 3 years, but the Baroque Works is helping ordinary citizens. Sabo lowered the brim of his hat and whispered. But we are just here to meet people. Didn't Mr. Long say not to easily interfere in the affairs of other countries? The young girl whispered. This is no longer a question of whether to interfere or not. This country has been in war for many years, and there is the shadow of the so-called Baroque Works behind it. There is something wrong with this country. Mr. Dragon must be notified immediately, Sabo said. Mr. Long, I have been dormant in Alabasta. According to the investigation over the past few days, Alabasta has a lot of problems. Does it need the Revolutionary Army? Sabo found a deserted place and dialed the Den Den Mushi in his hand. I know, stay put and continue to observe. Give priority to completing the assigned tasks. A low voice came from the Den Den Mushi. On the sea, the Golden Mary. Woo woo woo, why are you doing this to me? Mr. Two woke up slowly and started to play the victim as soon as he woke up. Hearing this, the Straw Hat Pirates suddenly felt goosebumps all over their bodies, felt a little nauseous, and had goosebumps. However, everyone tacitly did not speak, waiting for Captain Luffy's decision. Mr. Two of Baroque Works, Von Clay, what are you doing here? Luffy asked with a smile. Huh, do you know my identity? Oh, that person over there is Princess Vivi. Mr. Two said in a coquettish voice. Tell me your purpose. If you are an enemy, I will kill you right now. Zoro said coldly. Oh, so scary, but I have no ill intentions. I just capsized on the way to find Mr. 3. Mr. 2 replied. Ah, I really can't stand the way this demon talks. Can I kill him? Sanji gritted his teeth. No matter what he wants to do, he is in our hands now and can't make any waves. Ajin said coldly. Wow, what a scary guy. It seems that you are the Straw Hat Adventure Group that has been famous recently. Did you kill all the cadres of Baroque Works? Mr. 2 said fearfully. Don't think about making jokes and getting away with it. Now you answer whatever we ask. Nami couldn't stand this guy anymore. Okay, I really ran into a group of scary people. Mr. 2 had to bow his head. Luffy heard the conversation and felt that this shemale was getting more and more disgusting. It was an eyesore. Tell me, sissy, you said you came out to find Mr. 3, the Candle Man. Luffy tied Mr. 2 up. Woo, I'm not a sissy. In this world, there are only men and women, but each has its own shortcomings. So I'm not a human anymore. I'm Von Clay who believes in the way of shemales. The way of shemales is the strongest. Mr. Two said with a lot of backbone. A man tied up and wearing a ballet costume on the deck of the Mary, it's really unimaginable. Luffy covered his face and sighed. It seems that he should send this guy to the Shemale King Ivakov in the future. That should be very suitable for him. Luffy then said, Von Clay, it seems that although you are working for Baroque Works now, you don't seem to know who the boss of Baroque Works is. Huh, boss, I don't know, Mr. Two asked in confusion. Everyone couldn't help but cover their faces. This Shemale didn't even know who his boss was when he was working for someone else. The reason why you want to find Mr. 3 is because he knows a lot of secrets of your boss. The boss behind Baroque Works will never allow him to lose contact, and the reason why you want to kill Vivi is because the princess of this kingdom has discovered who the boss behind Baroque Works is and what the purpose of Baroque Works is. Baroque Works can only kill people to silence them, Luffy said in a deep voice. Vivi, tell him the truth about Baroque Works again. Okay, first of all, the boss behind Baroque Works is Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Vivi came up and gave Von Clay a blow to the head. What, Crocodile? Wait, let me sort it out first. Von Clay's tone of shock became normal, but he was still confused. So, what are you talking about? The secret criminal organization, Baroque Works, led by Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, implemented the Utopia operation in Alabasta. The country has not reigned for 3 years except for the capital Arubana. Under the deliberate arrangement of Baroque Works, the people thought that the drought was caused by the king's private use of the rain-inducing agent, dancing powder, which led to a civil war with heavy casualties. Crocodile, he wants to steal the power of the kingdom. Vivi finished speaking in one breath. Hearing this, Von Clay's brain crashed on the spot. What on earth is going on? Crocodile's Utopia operation is not very clever. Although Vivi has the courage to expose it, she has no ability to stop it. However, Crocodile has a deeper purpose besides stealing the power of the kingdom, which is to seize the Hades, one of the ancient weapons. Crocodile doesn't regard you as his own people at all. All of you are just chess pieces used up by the chicken. How about it, after hearing the truth, you want to be our enemy? Luffy asked with a smile, but his tone was not relaxed at all. Wait, what's the point of me being hostile to you? But why are you standing on the side of Princess Vivi? Von Clay argued anxiously. Von Clay was also very curious at this time. After all, Crocodile is not a little pirate that can be seen everywhere on the roadside. He is one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Just rushing over like this. It's impossible no matter how you think about it. Von Clay flirted with Luffy. I wonder what purpose this guy has in intervening in this matter. How sure are you that this matter can be resolved? Seeing a she-male flirting with him, Luffy felt a chill all over his body, but he still answered Von Clay's question. This is my decision, a decision made for my friend. As for the confidence, you will know it by then. We just need you not to help Baroque Works. Wow, such friendship really touches me, please let me join you. Von Clay heard it, tears welling up in his eyes, and said excitedly. No need. Luffy hurriedly moved away from the she-male. Then, goodbye, little Luffy, I'll wait for good news. In the end, Von Clay was persuaded by Luffy and the others, and finally jumped on the swan boat, danced the she-male dance, and went away. We finally sent this person away, it was really exhausting. All the partners were a little exhausted, after all, they were tired. After sending away Mr. Two and Von Clay from Baroque Works, the Straw Hat adventurers continued to move towards the kingdom of Alabasta. In order to repay the Straw Hat adventurers for saving his life, Von Clay not only performed an imitation show of the imitation fruit to them, but also revealed all the arrangements of Baroque Works that he knew, so that the Straw Hat adventurers could better guard against Crocodile's tricks. According to Mr. Two's information, Baroque Works has 12 agents and an animal. The higher the numerical ranking, the stronger the strength. However, these 12 people can no longer pose a threat to the Straw Hats. The total strength of Baroque Works is about 2,000 people, which are just chickens and dogs for the current Straw Hat adventurers. It is worth mentioning that although Crocodile is a coward who will do small tricks behind the scenes and pins his hopes on external things for strength, he can also be regarded as a local hero. He sailed on the Grand Line for a long time, but later he encountered an unprecedented defeat in challenging Whitebeard, which shattered his momentum and made him less powerful than before. The defeat in the challenge to Whitebeard made Crocodile not only suffer a disastrous defeat, but also made him deeply doubt himself. In the end, he did not stop and set the goal of stealing the country, but the ultimate goal was probably the ancient weapon, Pluto. If you want to make Crocodile fail completely, you can just kill his current Straw Hat pirates, but if you want to make the people deeply aware of their ignorance, you have to completely shatter his fantasy of Pluto in front of Crocodile, and finally invite Vivi to board the ship, so that it can be regarded as a real and complete victory. Alabasta, the headquarters of Baroque Works. Mr. All Sunday, has Mr. 2 made contact and returned? Crocodile's deep voice came. Yes, Mr. 0, according to the information he provided, I'm afraid Mr. 3, Mr. 5, and Mr. Valentine have all met with accidents. Nico Robin replied in a steady voice. Is that so? There are too many unexpected situations. The Straw Hat Adventure Group is about to arrive in Alabasta, and Smoker of the Navy has also arrived in Alabasta. In addition, Ace, the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, is staying in Alabasta, and even the figure of General Sabo, who is suspected to be the second in command of the Revolutionary Army, has appeared. It seems that Alabasta has become chaotic recently. Crocodile smiled gloomily. However, the more chaotic this country is, the more I can profit from it. Mr. All Sunday, you notify all departments to stay put, gather defenses, just in case, and be ready to launch the final plan at any time. Let this country go. When I get Pluto, no matter how chaotic it is, what can threaten me? Crocodile said while smoking a cigar. Yes, Nico Robin agreed and withdrew. Robin stopped talking and turned away calmly, but the words that the Straw Hat Boy said that day appeared in his mind. But she is not terrible, nor is she a vicious person. How about it? If you can't stay in Baroque Works, do you want to come to our team? Robin thought. Invite me. What a bold kid. But even Mr. 2, the she-male, was turned against by them. Incredible. I am really looking forward to the next development, but you are also facing a Shichibukai. Let me see, can you succeed? Will this be another opportunity? Vivi, in order to facilitate our next action, we must first agree on a code for action. Going straight over will easily alert the enemy and fail to achieve the desired effect. You must first go to the palace to meet up with your father the king and explain the pros and cons to him. Now, after eating that snow fruit, you at least have the power to protect yourself. If you can't beat the people from Baroque Works, you can still run away, but don't show up easily before we meet up. At that time, we will raise our arms and show the cross-shaped symbol drawn with a black fountain pen as a signal. Only those who show this mark are companions. Do you understand? Luffy stood on the deck and said solemnly to Vivi. Okay, I understand, Captain Luffy. Vivi agreed, and then camouflaged herself on the ship, ready to split into 2 groups with everyone. Arrived ahead, Alabasta Kingdom, Port, Rapeseed. Alabasta, a port city, rapeseed flowers. We have arrived in Alabasta. Luffy sighed as he got off the ship and stood on the solid land. Coming to this desert country in person is really a different feeling in my heart. Vivi, from now on, we will temporarily split into 2 groups, but don't worry, after we finish all the things here, we will go to the palace to meet you, be careful. Luffy turned and said to Vivi. Well, I understand, everything is up to you. Vivi tightened the brim of her hat, put on her cloak, and slowly walked away with her Mount Kalu in the yellow sand. Okay, next, let's go around this port city first, and replenish supplies at the same time. Luffy was eager to try. At this time, the Straw Hat Adventure Group did not disguise themselves at all, and walked into the city openly, without worrying about being exposed. They now understand that after dealing with so many cadres of Baroque Works, their information has already been placed in front of Crocodile, and they took the initiative to show up to make it easier for some people to find them. The group walked towards the streets of Rapeseed Port City in a mighty manner, stopping along the way, looking at the scenery and purchasing various materials they needed. Apples for sale. Golden apples that can live for 1,000 years if you take a bite. The vendor's voice came from the front, and he blocked the way of a young man. Ah, get out of the way, don't take out such a foolish thing. The young man waved his hands repeatedly, pushed the vendor away, and ignored the shouting, and walked away on his own. Oh, Sasabulita, Ace. Luffy's sharp eyes saw Ace in the crowd at a glance and called out loudly. Oh, Luffy, you are so slow, you just arrived in Alabasta. Ace's eyes lit up, and he walked up and put his arm around Luffy's shoulders. Haha, it's not too late. It's been less than half a year since we went out to sea. How are you, Ace? We haven't seen each other for several years. Luffy put his arm around Ace. Come on, let's go have a drink first and then talk about the past. Ace took Luffy to a restaurant without saying anything. Everyone sat down in the restaurant and toasted each other for the reunion. Luffy, this is? Nami asked on the side. Well, this is my sworn brother, Ace. Luffy said vaguely while eating meat. Huh, brother. Hello, I'm so rude. The members of the Straw Hat Pirates except Zoro were shocked. Luffy actually has a brother. They quickly stood up and greeted him. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Ace, Luffy's brother. Luffy has been asked to take care of you during this period. No need to be polite. Ace immediately stood up and bowed after hearing this. Haha, no way, it's always been Captain Luffy who has been taking care of us. Everyone was bragging about business. Ace, let me introduce you. I founded a Straw Hat Adventure group. These are my crew members, my partners. Luffy stood up and wiped his mouth, and continued. Zoro, we all met when we were young. These are Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Akin, Chopper. Everyone introduced and greeted each other one by one. Zoro, have you met Ace before? Sanji asked. Well, when I was a child, I trained with Luffy and others under Grandpa Garp. We met in about 1509 of the Sea Circle calendar. After that, Luffy and Ace had another one, and became sworn brothers. Zoro replied. Another one. Where is he now? Akin asked. There is also Sabo. We don't know if he is still alive. Ace said cheerfully. Sorry, I didn't mean it. Don't mind, it's been many years. Ace was optimistic. Is this cute little reindeer brother also a member of your crew? How wonderful. Ace changed the subject. I'm Tony Chopper, and I'm also a member of the Straw Hat Adventure group. But even if you say I'm cute, I won't be happy. Chopper said with his face covered. You really have a group of really interesting partners, Luffy. Ace said excitedly. Of course, they are my proud partners. Luffy did not hide it. But I'm also proud of my companions and my family. Ace said with longing. By the way, do you want to join our big family? That will definitely be fun. I'm also a senior cadre, and I can decide to absorb you. In this way, the two of us brothers will never be separated again. Whitebeard pirates, but you also know my answer. Luffy glanced at the tattoo on Ace's back. Whitebeard pirates, the four emperors of the New World, Whitebeard's pirates. Usopp was the first to react and said in surprise, Luffy, your brother is actually a cadre of the Whitebeard pirates. That's amazing. Is it true, Luffy? You will definitely refuse anyone's recruitment and go to the sea to make a name for yourself. Ace had already expected Luffy's answer and laughed heartily. But, Luffy, my father, Whitebeard Edward Newgate is the man destined to become the Pirate King, you have no chance. Ace laughed. That's different, Ace, my goal is not to become the Pirate King. Whoever wants to be the Pirate King can be the Pirate King, but I want to surpass Pirate King Roger. Luffy responded with a big laugh. There is such a thing. Luffy, you are really ambitious, Ace didn't care about Luffy's words and laughed. Okay. Luffy, since you have made up your mind, let's meet at the top. After Ace finished speaking, he laughed and wanted to go out. After all, in his opinion, the purpose of coming to Alabasta to reunite with his brothers has been achieved, and it's time to set off to achieve his own goals. At this time, Luffy stopped Ace. Don't rush to leave, Ace. Are you going to chase Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach? He is no longer in this country. It's not urgent to chase him, and besides, our goal here has not been completed yet. Hey, Luffy, you actually know that I am chasing Teach. You just said that our goal has not been completed. What is it? Ace looked back in confusion. That, Sabo is still alive. He is already the second in command of the Revolutionary Army, and now he is in the Kingdom of Alabasta. Luffy picked his teeth and dropped such a bombshell. Sabo, you said Sabo is still alive. And he is in Alabasta now. Even Ace couldn't keep calm at this time, then why don't we go find him? Don't worry, Ace, we need to see Sabo now, and there is an important question. Luffy smiled mysteriously. Chapter 51. Don't worry, Ace, we have to meet Sabo now, and there is an important question. Luffy smiled mysteriously. Question. What problem is not solved? Ace asked doubtfully. Luffy, according to the information from Mr. Long, the leader of the Revolutionary Army, he was rescued by Sabo in a shipwreck about 8 years ago. After that, Sabo lost all his memories before the shipwreck. Sabo grew up in the Revolutionary Army and aimed at the revolution of the world. Now he has completely forgotten everything before the shipwreck. How could this happen? Ace slammed the table in anger, attracting a lot of attention from the people around him. Ah, sorry, I'm too excited. Ace immediately stood up and bowed. Your brother is really polite, Usopp said with emotion. If you want to meet Sabo, the second in command of the Revolutionary Army, I remember that Mr. Long gave you a special den mushi. Zoro said. Luffy crossed his arms. Well, after we talk things out, we will naturally go to see Sabo. We haven't seen Sabo for almost 10 years. Now, we need to discuss how to make Sabo really believe that we are his sworn brothers after meeting him, and how to make Sabo regain his memory. Luffy said this firmly. What else can we do? Just tell him the truth all at once. Ace disagreed. You are really simple and crude, but it is probably not that simple. After all, Sabo lost his memory after the shipwreck. This is the body's self-protection after stress trauma. If we mention the past to him, I am afraid he will instinctively avoid it. If we want Sabo to remember everything, telling him directly may not be enough. Luffy said helplessly. Ace, then do you have any good ideas? Luffy replied. Well, it's not a good idea. It can only make Sabo feel the scene reappear, but it should be useful. If it doesn't work, we can only use physics to make him remember. Ha ha ha, Luffy, you are more simple and crude than me. Ace laughed. Luffy, then, let's put Sabo's question aside for now. Let's talk about another thing. Ace asked with a smile. Oh, what else is so important? Ace, you are going to hunt down Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach, right, Luffy sighed. Of course, that fool killed Mr. Thatch, who was so kind. That fool betrayed his father. Betrayed the iron rule set by Whitebeard. We will never tolerate the bottom line of hurting family members. We can't wait to get rid of him. Ace said indignantly. Calm down first, Ace. Blackbeard is abominable and must be eliminated. But you are too impulsive. A rash attack will only hurt you. You can't beat Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach, Luffy said firmly. Oh, Luffy, do you know what you are talking about? I can't beat Blackbeard. Are you looking down on me? Ace restrained his smile. That's not the case, Ace. Do you know that Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach has been lurking in the Whitebeard pirates for decades, just to get that natural system dark fruit? Luffy said. Natural system dark fruit. So what, your brother, I also have the natural system flame fruit. Ace sneered at this, not afraid at all. You can't say that, Ace. Blackbeard has been patient in the Whitebeard pirates until now, and he suddenly rose up. This means that he has enough confidence and strength to deal with your actions. No one knows how strong Blackbeard is who has been patient until now. He has never shown his strength, right? Luffy analyzed. What you said makes some sense, but he killed Thatch, and I will definitely not let him go. Ace thought about the disguise of that fool Teach, and agreed with Luffy's point of view, but still wanted to hunt him down alone. After Blackbeard defected from the Whitebeard pirates, he burned, killed, looted, and gathered evil parties. With the dangerous ability of the dark fruit, he was hard to beat on the Grand Line. Luffy continued. Luffy, you mentioned many times that Blackbeard had endured for many years before killing and robbing to obtain the dark fruit. What is the specialness of this fruit? Ace asked. That's right, Ace. According to the information I obtained, the dark fruit is the most dangerous devil fruit in the nature department. It is the nemesis of all devil fruits. The dark fruit cannot be elementalized, but it can release infinite gravity with darkness. If it were just that, it would be nothing, but this fruit can seal all fruit abilities that are touched by the fruit ability user. Therefore, once your flame fruit encounters it, it will be useless. Luffy said firmly. Ace frowned. There is such a dangerous ability. Is this the purpose of Blackbeard's forbearance for many years? Luffy. Yes, but you don't think that this will make me shrink. I'm not afraid of that fool Blackbeard. Ace quickly cheered up and said confidently. Luffy. I also know that this can't convince you at all, so I plan to tell you with practical actions, Ace. You are too weak and too dependent on the power of the fruit. You are a mess of physical skills, you can never be Blackbeard's opponent. Ace's eyes were burning with fighting spirit. Oh, my stupid brother, are you going to challenge me? Well, then let me show you my strength as a brother. Ace, before we start fighting, call Sabo over first, anyway, we have to help him recover his memory. Luffy also got angry. Okay, Ace said. So, Luffy used the Revolutionary Army's Den Den Mushi. Are you Monkey D? Luffy, the person Mr. Dragon said he wanted to see me. Sabo's clear voice came from the Den Den Mushi. Well, Sabo, let's meet in the desert outside the Rape Flower port. I will fight with someone there first, you will see it when you arrive. Luffy smiled. Okay, see you then. It can be heard that Sabo is a little speechless. Alabasta, in the desert outside the port of Rape Flower. The Straw Hat Adventurers and Ace stood in the yellow sand, Luffy versus Ace, ready to fight. Zoro, do you think they will get angry? Usopp asked. No, they are sworn brothers after all, so it's about time to stop. But Luffy wants to wake Ace up, and this battle may not be easy. Zoro said helplessly. Ace, do you have a water pipe? Luffy and Ace stood opposite each other. Water pipe, yes, the weapon we used when we were sworn brothers when we were young. Do you need it? Yes. Then Luffy and Ace found a long and thin water pipe nearby. Are you ready? Luffy, do you need me to teach you a few moves? No, Ace, I will use physical skills to make you understand that you rely too much on the power of the fruit, and your physical skills are so poor that it's laughable. Good boy, I will let you experience the feeling of being burned. Ace said harshly. Burned, didn't the captain walk through the magma before? Akin muttered. Hush, just don't say it. Sanji tried to smooth things over. Ace's whole body was burning with flames, take it. Luffy, fire gun. Ace shot countless fire bullets from his fingertips and started the battle. Is this the power of that natural system flame fruit? It's so hot. Chopper was so hot that he was paralyzed, and immediately used the power of the Kirin fruit to dispel the hot state. Bear it, Chopper. It will be over soon. Nami said. Your greeting is really direct. Ace. Then, finger gun barrage. Luffy used the armament haki flowing on his fingers, and shot out, blocking Ace's divine fire Shiranui completely, without burning any corners of his clothes. Luffy, this doesn't seem to be your fruit ability. Of course not, this is the physical technique that Grandpa Garp taught us when we were young. It seems that you have been lazy since you went to sea. Then Luffy flashed away, and Ace couldn't help but frown, losing sight of Luffy. Ace didn't have time to think about it, and quickly summoned flames to surround his body, and immediately shouted, Flame Ring Fire Pillar. Luffy flashed to the upper left of Ace, and the armament haki wrapped around the water pipe, and chopped it down, armed brick splitting. With the cover of the fire pillar, Ace rolled to avoid this powerful blow, and a muffled sound came, and a gully was directly split out of the yellow sand on the ground. A drop of cold sweat dripped down Ace's forehead. Hey, Luffy, do you want to kill me? What is this? A target without power is just a fantasy, Ace. This is just an attack with armament haki wrapped around the water pipe. Luffy walked out of the sky-high fire column unscathed and walked towards Ace. Armament haki. Is that what Dad mentioned? Ace felt a palpitation. Fire fist. Ace didn't have time to think about it and immediately used his famous skills. Arm sweep the fallen leaves. Luffy held the water pipe horizontally and swept away the fire fists that came at him. The raging fire scattered and caused violent explosions all around, but Luffy still walked out leisurely. Haha, Luffy, you are really amazing. Can't this do anything to you? Ace sweated coldly on his head. I said, you can't beat Blackbeard like this. Luffy said in a deep voice. Ace was speechless, but he would never admit defeat. With blazing fire all over his body, he attacked Luffy with a water pipe in hand. Firefly Daruma. Luffy did not retreat a step, and his armament haki flowed more violently on the water pipe, and he hit with a stick, armament severance. The fierce armament haki swept away the blazing fire, and hit Ace's chest with a stick. The severe pain made Ace kneel on the ground, still fighting. Ace. At this time, Sabo finally arrived late. He saw the blazing fire all over the sky and rushed here directly. He was dumbfounded when he saw the scene of the two people holding water pipes in front of him, and he couldn't help feeling déjà vu. Hey, Sabo, you are here. I am Luffy, and the one kneeling on the ground is Ace. It's been a long time since we last met. Luffy smiled at Sabo. Long time no see. Wait, what are you talking about? We haven't met before. Luffy, Ace, why do these two names sound so familiar? Sabo squatted on the ground with his head in his hands, holding the water pipe. My head hurts. Sabo, what's wrong with you? The woman next to Sabo said worriedly. Ha, Sabo, I'm Ace. Luffy, you and I are sworn brothers. Ace finally spoke up at this time. Quote. 3 brothers, the 3 of us. Sabo's eyes were blurred, and his companions in the Revolutionary Army comforting him. Don't worry, Sabo, we will meet again. You will remember everything. Don't rush, Luffy said gently. You, who are you? Why are you doing this? Asked Sabo's companions in the Revolutionary Army. We have no ill intentions. Didn't we just say that Sabo and I are 3 sworn brothers? No matter what he becomes, he is our brother and we will not harm him. Luffy said calmly. Okay, Ace, are you still going to continue? Luffy turned to Ace and said. Of course, the winner has not been decided yet. Next, I will use all my strength. Ace struggled to get up and said proudly. Then, just attack. I will take it all and let you clearly realize how ridiculous your determination is without strength. Luffy said, holding the water pipe horizontally. Ace also held the water pipe tightly and tried his best to drive the flame. Look. Luffy, flame ring Entei. That scene, that water pipe. So familiar, where have I seen it before? Sabo said painfully, holding his head. His companions in the Revolutionary Army hurriedly took him and the Straw Hat Adventure group away from the battlefield. The raging fire soared into the sky, and slowly condensed into a statue under Luffy's gaze. Luffy did not dodge, but walked straight towards Ace. The Ryuzakura haki flowed through his body, gradually condensed on the water pipe, and used the move he had learned in the small garden before. Alabasta spear haki. Then there was a shocking explosion, and the raging fire and the extremely powerful armament haki collided and entangled. After a long time, the raging fire dissipated, and the haki was still strong. Ace fell to the sand and gasped. You won. Luffy, I am such a shame as a brother. You said I can't beat Blackbeard, you must have your considerations. Tell me, what to do? Ace said excitedly. Luffy looked at this scene with mixed feelings, and he didn't know where this changed fate would go. Ding, host, please note that the host has greatly changed the future fate of important people, and the will of the world has intervened. In the original world line, Ace must be caught. If Ace is not caught, the top war will not come. If the top war does not come, the important turning point of this world will disappear. The system made an anxious voice in his mind. So, what should I do? Luffy asked in his mind. In this world line, Ace will still be caught under the interference of the world's will. He has to be the fuse of the top war. Even if you fully strengthen Ace, the convergence of the world will still make the turning point come. Please be prepared, host. Is that so? Then let's fight against the enemy and cover the water with earth. This time, Ace will never die. Luffy remembered that Sabo was still there, and went to find Sabo. Sabo rolled over in the back, holding his head. Ah. My head hurts, that water pipe. Luffy, Ace, yes, that's right, they are my brothers, I finally remembered. I won't forget, I shouldn't forget. I remember it all. Ace and Luffy are my sworn brothers. Sabo fell to the ground with tears streaming down his face. Besides Sabo, his companions in the Revolutionary Army looked at each other, unable to make up their minds for a moment. Don't worry, even if Sabo really recognizes us, we fully respect his choice and decision, and we will not take Sabo away. Luffy walked up and said calmly. The Revolutionary Army breathed a sigh of relief. If they had lost the second in command of the Revolutionary Army when they came to see one person, they would have no way to report. Sabo, are you feeling better? I'm sorry that we chose this method to stimulate your memory recovery, but there is no better way in a short period of time. We can't wait until we regret it to realize that we still have relatives. Luffy patted Sabo on the shoulder. Sabo stood up, shook his head and said, "Sorry, Luffy, Ace, it's been so many years, and I finally remembered the past." Ace hurriedly said, "No way, Sabo. I thought you had already. If you want to apologize, I should apologize. I have caused you a lot of trouble." Everyone came to a guest room. Except for the three brothers, everyone else tactfully left the space for the three brothers who had reunited after a long absence. "Ace, Sabo, how have you been through all these years?" "I have been studying with Mr. Long since I encountered a shipwreck. I have grown up in the Revolutionary Army for many years. Ace, I am now the Chief of Staff of the Revolutionary Army, which is not weaker than your title as the captain of the second team of the Whitebeard Pirates." Sabo calmed down after the excitement and said cheerfully, "I see, what about Luffy? I heard that you founded an organization called the Straw Hat Adventure Group. Are you not a pirate anymore?" Ace also asked Luffy at this time. "Ah, the Straw Hat Adventure Group one founded as not a pirate, although I don't care what others think. I go out to sea just for adventure, to eliminate evil pirates, and then change the world." Luffy replied. "Change the world? Then you should join the Revolutionary Army. Luffy, join us. Work with me, one day Marihoa will plant our flag." Sabo got excited. Luffy waved his hand and said, "I will not join any organizational structure, and the nature of my adventure group is also different from that of the Revolutionary Army. Let's talk about this later." Sabo thought, "Is that so, then I won't force you to do anything." "Ace, how do you feel after fighting with me?" Luffy asked. "You were really strong." "Luffy, my chest still hurts," Ace said. "This is the price you pay for not paying attention to physical skills and hockey training on weekdays. I think there will be systematic training methods for hockey in both the Whitebeard Pirates and the Revolutionary Army. I can feel that Sabo has a certain level of hockey training, but it's really hard to describe." Luffy said helplessly. "You didn't even practice the physical skills that Grandpa Garp taught you when you were a child, otherwise you wouldn't have lost so badly. Your current strength, even if you use the power of the fruit, is the last in my team." Luffy sighed. Ace laughed. "After eating the flame fruit, I have no rivals on the Grand Line. Even in the New World, there are only a handful of people who can keep me. But who would have thought that you, as a younger brother, would be ahead of us, as older brothers?" Sabo was shocked. "Did you eat the natural flame fruit? You were really blessed. No wonder you don't have a foundation in physical skills. Ahaha, speaking of which, how should I practice this hockey? Is it too late for me to start practicing now?" Ace touched his head awkwardly, with a layer of red and black armed color hockey wrapped around his fist. "It's never too late to become stronger as long as you are willing to work hard," Sabo said. Indeed, although Ace had a little hockey foundation in the White Pirates, it was completely unmatched. Now Ace's strength is at most equal to Smoker, who met in Punk Hazard 2 years later in the original work. This can be easily seen from the previous battle. Even the domineering color that has been awakened has hardly improved, and can only be emitted indiscriminately to clear the soldiers. "Luffy, Ace, aren't you going to chase Blackbeard? At your current level, if you encounter Blackbeard's dark fruit that restrains the fruit ability, you will be slaughtered. So, I have to help you raise the level of domineering and physical skills first." Ace is going to chase Blackbeard. Sabo was surprised. "Yes, that's right." At the moment, Ace repeated his experience in the Whitebeard Pirates to Sabo. "I see, so now Ace and Blackbeard are mortal enemies, but Ace can't beat Blackbeard now, right?" Sabo quickly understood the current situation. "Yes, so, you said you want to help Ace improve himself and defeat Blackbeard, but how?" Sabo asked. "My devil fruit ability can help others speed up their training, so Ace, as long as you accept it, I can help you," Luffy said quickly. "There is such a magical ability, why not try it quickly?" Sabo's eyes lit up. Luffy. "Okay, Sabo, come too." Ding, I have increased the training speed of taijutsu and dual color hockey by 100 times for Ace and Sabo for 1 year. Transformation points minus 2000, 5000 transformation points left. Name, Portgas A.D. Ace. Observation Hockey. Awakened, a glimpse of the way, 24%. Armament Hockey. Awakened, a glimpse of the way, 5%. Conqueror Hockey. Awakened, a glimpse of the way, 21%. Taijutsu. Navy 6 styles and its extended taijutsu, not yet started. Devil Fruit. Natural Flame Fruit. Awakening progress 51%. Name, Sabo. Observation Hockey. Awakening, first glimpse, 79%. Armament Hockey. Awakened, first glimpse, 75%. Physical Skills. Navy 6 styles and extended physical skills. Uninitiated, Revolutionary Army physical skills, perfect 3%. Devil Fruit. None. Okay, now I've helped you with everything I can, Ace. No matter when you meet Blackbeard next time, remember that your own safety is the top priority. Even if you are caught, we and Grandpa Garp are still here. Don't be stubborn, Luffy warned Ace, and Sabo too, don't be stubborn. If the sky falls, there are tall people to hold it up. You have to be good in the Revolutionary Army. Of course, Sabo replied. So, after Ace gained a lot from his trip to Alabasta, he continued his journey. By the way, Luffy, the original purpose of our meeting was to talk about the current situation in Alabasta, right? Sabo asked. Yes, Sabo, I'm going to tell you about this next. Luffy smiled mysteriously. The capital of the Kingdom of Alabasta, Abaluna, the royal palace. Vivi, wearing a black cloak, sneaked into the bedroom of her father, Cobra, in the dark night with the help of the power of the snow fruit. Who is it? Cobra was very alert. Don't be nervous, keep quiet, father, I'm Vivi. Vivi, why did you suddenly come back? Aren't you lurking? It's very dangerous here, leave quickly. I'm also under house arrest now. King Cobra was a little anxious. Father, calm down first, it's okay. Although my undercover work has been exposed, I have figured out the truth about Baroque Works. As you expected, it was Crocodile who was behind it. The secret criminal organization, Baroque Works, led by Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, carried out the Utopia operation in Alabasta. It has been 3 years since it rained except in the capital Arubana. Under the deliberate arrangement of Baroque Works, the people thought that the drought was caused by the king's private use of the rain-inducing agent, dancing powder, which led to a civil war with heavy casualties. Crocodile, he wants to steal the power of the kingdom. Vivi said hatefully. Since you know everything, why did you come back? Father, Baroque Works has become a force to be reckoned with. The royal family and the army alone cannot solve this situation. Therefore, I have brought a very strong reinforcement on the sea. Don't act rashly before they give the signal. It's useless to tell the rebels now, they won't believe it. Fantasy without power will only be reckless and reckless. But your safety. Don't worry about me, father. I need you to help me hide in the palace and still claim that the princess is missing. Look at this. After saying that, Vivi showed a little bit of the ability of the snow fruit. This is. Yes, father. Next, keep in touch at any time. We must overturn everything and make Crocodile's ambitions all come to nothing. Yes, Sabo, I'm going to tell you about this next. Luffy smiled mysteriously. Sabo was silent for a moment and asked, are you here for Alabasta? Luffy, well, Sabo, you are the chief of staff of the Revolutionary Army, aren't you? After arriving in Alabasta, what did you find? Sabo frowned and said, I sneaked into the palace of Alabasta to investigate, but I didn't see King Cobra. The royal family seems to have ignored the government affairs. I also investigated along the way in the major cities of Alabasta. The association organization called Baroque Works controls the country's economy, and this organization is behind the rebels' war. Luffy, do you know anything about this country? Luffy smiled and said, you are really fast in collecting intelligence. Yes, there is a big problem in this country. The boss behind Baroque Works is Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and he plans to seize power in this country. What? We can't just sit back and do nothing. Sabo tensed up. However, there is a deeper purpose behind Crocodile's action, that is Pluto. Luffy continued. Sabo was a little shocked. Pluto, one of the 3 ancient weapons. Pluto exists in the kingdom of Alabasta. Luffy shook his head. No. As far as I know, there is no Pluto in Alabasta, but there is news of Pluto in Alabasta. We have been traveling with the princess of the kingdom of Alabasta for some time. After she returned to the country, I asked her to sneak back to the palace and wait for orders. Now, she is in the dark, and our Straw Hat Adventure group is in the light. Sabo, you have a plan. Do you want to kill Crocodile? More than that, Sabo, it is easy for us to get rid of Crocodile, but the citizens of this country have been bewitched by Crocodile and his Baroque works for a long time. Now the Alabasta regime has fallen and the economy is depressed. So, I asked Mr. Dragon to send you out. Luffy smiled. You want, Sabo asked, to resolve the impact after getting rid of Crocodile and Baroque works. We need the royal family of the kingdom to work together with us, and we also need the participation and help of the Revolutionary Army. Luffy said solemnly. Really, Luffy, you already have a plan, then, I will notify Mr. Long to come over now. Sabo was eager to try. No need, I'm here. A low voice came from outside the door, and then a man in a green cloak came quietly. Well, Mr. Dragon, long time no see. Luffy stood up and greeted. Yes, Luffy, how are you? I came here as fast as I could after hearing that you, Ace, and Sabo had a fight and recognized each other. I thought about the questions you asked last time and came up with a few answers. I was just about to talk to you. Are you going to solve the trouble in Alabasta? Have you made a plan? Mr. Dragon lowered his hood and walked into the room. Who is the enemy of the Revolutionary Army? What is the revolutionary program of the Revolutionary Army? Is it really meaningful to only provoke disputes and uprisings between countries? If we only help the people to revolt and overthrow the original regime without a perfect social system and laws and regulations, will we repeat the same mistakes? Luffy asked these questions when he met Dragon in Rogue Town. Dragon took a deep breath and answered. For the first question, I think the current revolutionary enemies of our revolutionary army are the evil people in each country who want to drag their country into the abyss, and the ultimate enemy in the future is the world government. Luffy shook his head after hearing this. It's not just that, Mr. Dragon. The current enemies of the revolutionary army are evil people who are reactionary, anti-justice, and anti-peace. This has nothing to do with identity, but with behavior. As long as you do evil, you will be the enemy of the Revolutionary Army. This is conducive to the Revolutionary Army to win the hearts of the people at this stage. When the people's hearts are in favor, the Revolutionary Army can respond to the call. The Revolutionary Army has already started to do this in a planned way, and it's good to continue. The future enemies are not all the world government, that's too generalized. The future enemies of the Revolutionary Army should be aristocracy and the powerful ruling class. That is, the celestial dragons who hold the highest power in the world government. They are all the evils in this world's root. Therefore, when the revolution reaches a certain stage, the navy and the world government may not all be enemies, and the knowledgeable people among them will also raise the banner of resistance. Quote. Drag was shocked, and now he was not sure that the conclusion of the revolutionary program he had drawn was completely correct. So what do you think the revolutionary program of the Revolutionary Army is? Luffy said confidently. I think the revolutionary program of the Revolutionary Army is a democratic revolutionary program against war and the aristocracy. The specific content is, try to eliminate the civil strife in the world and unite all races. Advocate the revolutionary concept of peace, stability, equality and development. Make equality the main theme of the world revolution. No one in the world, no race is superior to others. We are all equal races living under the same sky. Drag suddenly stood in awe. Some things and some roads are what they have never imagined. Luffy continued, it is meaningless for the Revolutionary Army to only stir up disputes and uprisings between countries. If they only help people to revolt and there is no perfect social system and laws and regulations after overthrowing the original regime, then when the Revolutionary Army leaves, the countries they helped will repeat the same mistakes. What has happened will happen again, what has been done will be done again. Because the rule of the dark regime has made the original rulers of the country taste the sweetness of tyranny, there will still be people who follow the predecessors to implement tyranny, and the cycle will repeat itself forever. Therefore, if we want to try our best to avoid this problem, we must provide the new regime with a way to move towards dawn and a bright future on the basis of the original. The perfect social system and laws and regulations require the people of this world to constantly explore and find a unique path that belongs only to this world. Sabo was dumbfounded when he heard this. Is it possible that the action guidelines of the Revolutionary Army have always been problematic? Luffy took a sip of water and continued, what do you think is true justice? The Navy is not necessarily just, and pirates are not necessarily completely evil. When we measure a person's moral standards, there is a difference between judging by heart and judging by deeds. Judging by heart means judging a person's character based on his heart and his starting point. Judging by deeds means judging based on his actual actions and the results of his work. Justice exists in the heart and comes from actions. As long as it is beneficial to the people and the development of the world, then this kind of justice is not justice. The army comes from the people and serves the people. It comes from the people and must go to the people. This is what I think is the essence of a soldier, and it is based on this view that I don't think the Navy is completely an enemy. The army does not serve the nobles, but serves the people. Now the lion of the Navy has not awakened, so we have to find a way to wake him up in the future. Quote, seriously, Luffy, your thoughts are ahead of the world. If this kind of thought is carried forward, it will be the end of the world's aristocrats. After hearing this, Drago clapped silently, and then continued to ask. But we are born in this cannibalistic era. We can't achieve anything by relying on personal thoughts and personal efforts. Although we have a certain scale now, it is not enough. Do you have any insights? We were born in the worst era, and we will eventually raise the flag of rebellion against the hegemony of the celestial dragons in the ashes of the evildoers. The main theme of justice, peace and development will resound throughout the world. The world trend is mighty, and those who follow it will prosper, and those who go against it will perish. We need to move forward, and there is no need to give up on ourselves. Don't worry, just do what you can. If you have a little heat, you can give off a little light. A spark can start a prairie fire, and the torch will eventually appear. We don't have to wait for the torch. If there is no torch in the future, each of us can become our own torch. Quote, Mr. Dragon and Sabo said excitedly, great. Luffy, with your ideological help, the Revolutionary Army will surely go to a higher level. Luffy said modestly, no need to thank me, I can't change the whole world by myself. Only by uniting all the forces that can be united can we succeed. Then, tell me about your plan in Alabasta. What help do you need from us? Dragon and Sabo looked at each other and said, first, the Revolutionary Army needs to incite the rebels. Then, Mr. Dragon, you need to have a secret meeting with King Cobra and convince him. Luffy described his plan like this. Mr. Dragon also needs his fruit ability to blow up a certain degree of sandstorms to sweep across major cities, making the scene bigger. Oh, blowing up a sandstorm. Although it will harm the people to a certain extent, necessary small sacrifices are still needed. Is it okay? Mr. Dragon asked. Mr. Dragon, it is Crocodile's sand fruit that can blow up the sandstorm. This is a well-known fact. What does it have to do with you? Luffy laughed. You were right. Dragon and Sabo's eyes lit up after hearing this. If it succeeds, Alabasta will become a milestone in the revolutionary journey. Luffy, it's not a particularly detailed plan, but it's enough to deal with this situation. Well, the Revolutionary Army Captain Betty has already disguised herself and infiltrated the rebel army headquarters. Mr. Dragon said indifferently, it's just a sand crocodile. These actions are completely overkill. In fact, if Luffy goes to war directly, Crocodile can't make any waves. Luffy's eyes lit up. You are worthy of being the leader of the Revolutionary Army. You are so fast. Army Captain Betty. Encouragement fruit ability user. Quote, after all, I am the leader of the Revolutionary Army. It is not difficult to seize this opportunity. Well, without further delay, let's start the action now. Luffy walked out of the empty room and said to his companions, then, it's time for us to set off. That night, Arubana, the palace. A breeze blew, and a ghostly figure quietly sneaked in. King Cobra was pacing anxiously in the palace. The impending storm in Alabasta made the king anxious. He had no idea when the reinforcements his daughter had mentioned would arrive, but it was not appropriate to alarm the enemy now. King Cobra, please come to the underground dark room to see me. A low voice came with the whistling wind, as if it sounded from all directions. Who? Cobra asked in a low voice, and this situation made him shudder. He didn't know whether this voice was an enemy or a friend. The palace, which was originally impregnable and airtight, was now like paper, and he couldn't feel safe at all. Moreover, only he, the king, knew about the underground dark room of the palace, and deep inside it was the text of history. How did this person get in quietly? Don't worry, King Cobra, I'm not an enemy. I'm one of the reinforcements your daughter has brought. Please come to the underground dark room to see me. The deep voice saw through his concerns and sounded in his ears again. At this moment, King Cobra didn't have time to think too much. This person could sneak into the palace quietly and pass on the message to him without being discovered by anyone, so he could easily kill him. King Cobra went to the underground dark room alone carefully. In the dark room, a cloaked figure stood with his back to him. This person sensed that King Cobra had arrived, turned around, slowly lowered his hood, and revealed his true face. The leader of the Revolutionary Army, Monkey D. Dragon. Cobra was horrified, but he didn't dare to speak loudly. He couldn't figure out why his daughter could recruit this person. Don't be restrained, King Cobra. Long smiled. Relax. You. Cobra was already a little slurred. I'm here to help your country. Long said softly. The companion your daughter has found is my son, Luffy. Luffy wants to help you and protect his companions. Coincidentally, we think so too. Do you want to liberate this country? King Cobra asked. Long. This is just one of the purposes. Don't worry, after the storm subsides, the Nefertari royal family will still control the government in this country. Alabasta will still be an important part of the member countries of the world government. King Cobra breathed a sigh of relief. He couldn't drag the country into the abyss of destruction now. With this person's guarantee, he could cooperate with confidence. What do you need me to do? King Cobra asked. Long. We need you to be here when Crocodile arrives. This is too risky. What if Alabasta falls? Cobra was dumbfounded. Dragon. Now, the Revolutionary Army has secretly guarded all the traffic arteries in Alabasta. The Navy will also be dispatched in advance and send out the Great Battle. The Straw Hat Adventure Group represented by Luffy and his party also has the strength to overturn everything with force. The script has been written, just waiting for you to start. Mr. Long said confidently, Crocodile will definitely fail. Please let me think about it. King Cobra took a deep breath. On the other side, Luffy and his party were already on the way to the western city of the Kingdom of Alabasta, Yoba. Who are you, Straw Hat Boy? A white-haired figure shouted in the distance. Smoker, Smoker. Luffy was surprised. Why is this guy still running around like a stubborn guy like in the original book? I'm here. Smoker wanted to pull out the seastone weapon 10 hands. I've had enough fun. Smoker. Luffy interrupted him directly, his fingers flowing with domineering power, tapping his chest. Scored twice. Smoker, now is not the time to fool around. Something big is going to happen in this country soon. Since you are a navy, just do your job well. Smoker struggled frantically, but it was no use. This guy is either being beaten or on the way to being beaten. Don't you know what Crocodile did in this country? Luffy immediately told Smoker the whole situation. Are you serious? The 7 warlords of the sea actually did this. No, we must stop him. Smoker left in a hurry. Although he made sense, he couldn't let this iron-headed kid alert the enemy and scare away Crocodile. He called Ryu's Den Den Mushi and asked him to pay attention. Luffy and his crew had already found a place to rest. Luffy took out a Den Den Mushi again, but this time he dialed the contact number of his grandfather Garp. Moshi. Grandpa Garp. Luffy, you again, what's the matter? Do I have to repeat the situation in Alabasta to everyone? At the moment, I can only tell Garp in the Den Den Mushi. Next, under my plan, a big event will be reported to the Navy in this country. I hope that Grandpa will lead the team immediately to stabilize the situation. Oh, by the way, take Miss Jiwon with you, she is a candidate for Admiral, and she also needs this credit. What did you do again? Garp roared. He is dispatched. The candidate for Admiral of the headquarters of the Navy is dispatched. Is this to destroy the country? Don't worry, Grandpa. It's nothing serious, but we have to start the action now. It's too passive if it's too late. Luffy said with a smile. Aruma, Mr. 2, Xiao Feng came to the settlement here. Dear residents of Aruma, I am a cadre of Baroque Works, codenamed Mr. 2. On behalf of Baroque Works, I announce that this city will have artificial rainfall that has not happened in 3 years. Of course, only this city will have it. Quote. Great. A resident of Aruma cheered. Mr. 2 from Baroque Works. Why is it only Aruma? What about us in Yoba? Someone from another city asked. I don't know either. This is the decision of our boss Crocodile. If you want to know, you can only go to the Rainland and ask him in person. The kingdom hero Crocodile is your boss. Okay, let's go ask him now. The crowd rustled. Xiao Feng left after making his announcement. This was a request from his friend Luffy in the Den Den Mushi. He would go through fire and water for such a small matter. What did Luffy say in the Den Den Mushi? He wanted to make the victims doubt Crocodile's decision. Who would worry about inequality instead of scarcity? Who cares? Sabo arrived at the Kingdom Army's base. Who is it? Bell, the adjutant of the Alabasta Kingdom Guard, asked loudly. I'm here, to help you end the war. Sabo showed his blonde hair. Catalia, the rebel base. Betty, the army captain disguised as a soldier, said, it hasn't rained in our cities for 3 years. Rebel A. Yes, if it weren't for Baroque Works, our days would be even more difficult. Betty. Hey, I heard that the boss of Baroque Works is Crocodile. Rebel B. Hero Crocodile. With him, this country is safe. Betty. Then do you think it is possible that so many cities have not had rain for years because of the sand fruit? Rebel C. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Lord Crocodile is our savior. That day, Alabasta Palace. King Cobra sat in the hall, and below him was Crocodile who came to pay a visit. Your Majesty, what do you think of my proposal? Crocodile's somewhat arrogant voice sounded. Crocodile, you are the leader of Baroque Works. King Cobra said this, and the guards on both sides were a little surprised. Crocodile. Oh, you know everything, so what? Quote, Cobra thought. Is this the real purpose? Then if you are unkind, don't blame me for being unjust. Cobra said sternly. Crocodile, you are forming a clique for personal gain, what exactly is your intention? Crocodile frowned when he heard the voice. When did this cowardly king have such courage? Cobra continued. Crocodile, your goal is to usurp this country. Crocodile's eyes were gloomy and he was silent. This question spread throughout the capital with the loudspeaker Den Den Mushi, and for a while, the people talked about it. At this time, Cobra took out the video Den Den Mushi in the shock of the people on both sides of the hall, and broadcast the following sentence to the entire Grand Line and even the whole world. Crocodile, your ambition will not be realized. Your ultimate goal is Pluto. I tell you, the ancient weapon, Pluto is in Alabasta, even if it is completely destroyed. I will not let you get it. One of the 3 ancient weapons, Pluto, is in Alabasta, but even if it is completely destroyed, you will not get him. King Cobra roared, and the whole hall was silent, and then there was an unparalleled cry of surprise, and people from all over the country who heard the news were noisy. Cobra sat in the main seat, and his mind could not calm down for a long time. He remembered Mr. Dragon's words. Just release this news, and leave the action of calming the situation to the Navy, the Revolutionary Army, and the Straw Hat Adventure Group. First of all, there is no Pluto in Alabasta, right? Then, Alabasta really has news about Pluto. Whether this news is true or false, Crocodile will not be able to remain calm after it is released, and his plan will be completely broken. Alabasta now needs to be reborn in a desperate situation, and there is no creation without destruction. Since Crocodile really has ulterior motives, and since his fundamental goal is Pluto, then I will destroy it and create it. Now, Crocodile, don't even think about taking advantage of the chaos to seize Hades. Cobra, I'll shake you clean, let's see how you can play. Crocodile, you can't afford it. Crocodile's face suddenly became extremely gloomy, his eyes were gloomy, he was hesitating whether to go all out and directly kill everyone present. People outside the palace were talking. Lord Crocodile's goal is Hades. Impossible, isn't he a hero of the kingdom? What's impossible? That's an ancient weapon, who wouldn't be tempted? But, Crocodile's help to Alabasta over the years, is it all fake? Of course, the people have not completely collapsed in their hearts about Crocodile's image, but it also made everything he has worked hard for many years shaky. King Cobra, do you know what you are talking about? Alabasta will be destroyed because of this. Crocodile still wanted to save it at this time. Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. You are plotting to usurp the throne. Now, on behalf of the Navy, I declare that you are no longer one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Surrender. Smoker pushed the door open and entered. White fist. Crocodile dodged the blow and his eyes were red with anger. Navy. Are you involved too? A shocking cry broke out in the hall. You should know that the video Den Mushi has not been turned off yet. How could it be? Even the Navy said so. What happened? There was a commotion in the capital. Crocodile could no longer care about so much at this moment. He blasted Smoker away directly. At this time. Well, Cobra, I can get what I want by killing you. Sandstorm. The violent sand and dust swept through the hall. At this time, it suddenly started snowing in the hall. Soda Shirayuki. Princess Vivi appeared and fought against Crocodile together with Smoker. Vivi, you actually. Crocodile got bad news that was not planned again. But do you think that you are my opponents just because you are both natural types? When I was roaming the sea, you were still playing in the mud. Crocodile was furious, and the ability of the sand fruit actually overwhelmed the 2 natural types. People of Alabasta, the many disasters that have occurred in Alabasta in the past are all the conspiracy of this crocodile. Now he is even trying to usurp the country. Please take action. Defend your homeland. Princess Vivi screamed. Then, under Crocodile's angry eyes, a hurricane suddenly blew in the palace, and countless sand and dust blurred everyone's vision. When the vision was restored, Princess Vivi, King Cobra, and Navy Colonel Smoker had already flown away. Rebel Army Headquarters. Impossible. Crocodile really plans to usurp the country. What's impossible? Didn't you see Crocodile attacking the Navy, King Cobra, and Princess Vivi in front of everyone? Yes, Princess Vivi is very kind to the civilians and is deeply loved by the civilians. What she says always makes sense. No matter what, we must go to the palace to find out what happened. The Kingdom Army Station. Oh no, His Majesty the King and His Royal Highness the Princess are missing. The Kingdom Army was immediately in chaos. Report. A large number of pirates have begun to invade the coastline. Various levels of pirate looting have also broken out in the country. To make matters worse, I am the Chief of Staff of the Revolutionary Army, Sabo. I hope you can listen to me. The Revolutionary Army will help you fight against the pirates. The top priority now is no longer the rebel army. Defending your own country is what you should do now. Sabo Luth's true face was revealed. Revolutionary Army. Many soldiers were shocked. The most urgent task now is to defend the country. Not all the vice captains of the Kingdom Army are a mob. Marihoa, the office of the 5 elders. What on earth is Nefertari Cobra, this idiot, doing? There is no Pluto in Alabasta. Is he doing this to be destroyed? Navy. Notify the Navy to go out quickly. We can't let the situation continue to deteriorate. Alabasta cannot be destroyed. CP0 should also be sent out to check the situation. There was a lot of chaos. That's right, how could the world government not know that there is no Pluto in Alabasta, but Alabasta really has news about Pluto? The world government cannot let potential enemies get any news about Pluto, nor can it sit idly by and watch Alabasta, one of the original 20 countries, be destroyed. The world government can only go out. Marine Headquarters, Marineford. Sengoku roared in the office after receiving the news. What a joke. Pluto is in Alabasta. The king just said that. Marine Admiral Sengoku had already smashed a table at this time. Quick, call an emergency combat meeting. Sengoku roared. How terrible, Marshal Sengoku. I'm the fastest, how about I go? The wretched voice of Admiral Kizaru came. Sengoku was about to agree, when a sturdy figure broke through the door and heard the voice before seeing the person. Sengoku, I'll go. Take Jiwon with me, Garp shouted. Garp, you decided to go, and you want to take Jiwon with you. Sengoku widened his eyes. This lineup is worthy of the situation in Alabasta. There is no time to explain so much, the warships under my command have already set off. Give me a definite answer, Garp said anxiously. When he received Luffy's call, He realized that this son of a fool was definitely going to cause trouble, but he didn't expect it to be this kind of thing. Sengoku thought for a while. Okay. Hurry. Alabasta's own defense line can't hold out for much longer. New World, Whitebeard Pirates, Moby Dick. Dad, Ace seems to be in Alabasta, we have to go check it out. This is the captain of the first team, Marco. Whitebeard opened his eyes slightly. It's really not peaceful all day long. Marco, go and take Ace away. Gulala lala, there is no Pluto in Alabasta. Let the kids leave that country. Whitebeard didn't want to wade into this muddy water regardless of whether the information was true or false. Luffy and his crew had already arrived in Alapana. Boy, what did you do in Alabasta? Garp's roar came from the Den Den Mushi. Nothing, I just want to achieve a few goals with Crocodile's head. Luffy laughed. Calm down, I actually believed you. You made such a big fuss, are you just trying to make a name for yourself with the help of a Shichibukai? Not really, strictly speaking, it's not just that, Grandpa Garp. You should be arriving soon, you'll know when we meet. Luffy hung up the Den Den Mushi, leaving Garp at the other end helpless and furious. So, at this moment, all kinds of monsters and demons on the Grand Line swarmed to Alabasta. The capital of Alabasta, Arubana, the royal palace. After King Cobra and Princess Vivi disappeared, Crocodile urgently launched the Utopia operation plan. The remaining mob in the royal palace naturally could not resist the attack of Baroque works. Crocodile temporarily suppressed the rebellious citizens with absolute force and hurried to find news about Pluto. Mr. 1, have you found the location of Pluto? Crocodile's low voice seemed a little impatient at this moment. After all, the truth has been revealed, and it is not suitable to stay in this country for a long time. When he finds Pluto, he will leave this country immediately. But what Crocodile doesn't know is that Pluto, who he firmly believes in and can overturn everything, is not in Alabasta at all. All his ambitions and efforts will come to nothing. Not yet, boss, our people have searched this royal city at the fastest speed, but not only are there no traces of King Cobra and Princess Vivi, but there is no record of Pluto. Mr. 1 below said in a deep voice. Boss, should we withdraw now? The situation in Alabasta is getting worse, said another Baroque Works executive. Crocodile frowned. It was too late to withdraw now. The whole world knew that he was looking for Pluto. There was probably no place for him on the sea. He had become the target of public criticism. Either find Pluto and overturn everything, or die in this desolate country. Crocodile, what's the situation now? Mr. 2 disappeared after using Baroque Works equipment to make artificial rain in that city. Now major cities have set off riots of varying degrees. Baroque Works has lost control of them. The national economy that was previously controlled was also out of control due to the outflow of funds from unknown sources. Miss. All Sunday lost contact. Bad news came one after another, and Baroque Works began to fall apart in a very short time. In the shade of the desert outside Arubana, Dragon brought Cobra, Vivi and Smoker to meet up with Luffy and left. Well, it looks like the situation has already fermented. All the companions should go to the major traffic arteries in groups of 2 to guard them. Try not to let the pirates in. Be safe and keep in touch. Luffy stretched. Vivi, Luffy, why do you have to do this for us? Luffy, didn't I say it? You are already our companion. It is impossible to abandon your companions, right? Okay, stay alert, the next is the end. Smoker, Straw Hat Boy, I don't care what your plan is. This has already happened. As a navy, you must lead by example. Okay, do what you can. Actions without strength will only be reckless. What can you do? Now, do something within your ability. Luffy curled his lips helplessly. Luffy held down Smoker, who was about to run away. Vice Admiral Garp and Admiral Candidate Momozaic are probably on their way now, so what can you do if you join them? What you have to do now is to fight the pirates who are attacking this country together. Let's take action once you understand. Everyone, Luffy said solemnly. Got it, Captain. The members of the Straw Hat Pirates scattered. In the distance, a cloaked figure came against the wind and sand. Why are you here, Nico Robin? Luffy raised his eyebrows. Didn't you say in the Den Den Mushi that my own safety is the first priority? At this time, in this country, the only safe place is around you. Nico Robin sneered. Port, rapeseed flowers. Brothers, kill. Pluto is in this country. We will be rich if we take him down. A captain of a pirate group waved his sword and issued an order. Charge. Grab whatever you can. A large group of pirates landed in Alabasta, ready to plunder the city. At this moment, an extremely sharp slash came through the air, followed by a loud laugh. Stupid pirates, go home. Iron Fist. The Navy headquarters, Hero Garp, arrived. The Navy headquarters Admiral Candidate, Momo Rabbit, arrived. Navy, Navy, how can there be so many Navy? The pirates panicked and fled in all directions. The hurricane swept countless pirate ships in the port and tore them apart. Father, you are here. The leader of the Revolutionary Army, Dragon. A white-haired old man wearing a straw raincoat set foot on the land of Alabasta. Ah, what's the situation now? I heard that Pluto appeared inexplicably in this country, so I came out to visit. Who spread the rumor? Garp and his people. What brings you here? Why don't you just stay in seclusion and come out to join in the fun? Don't mind, we are old friends. Look, there is news of ancient weapons in this country, but there are none, right? I am worried that this country will perish. I am just here to help. The old man shook his silver hair. Hades, Hades, the pirate who wanted to dock sat down on the ground. Quick. Quick, turn the rudder and leave. Hades, has the ancient weapon Hades appeared? Idiot, not that Hades, but the Hades on the legendary pirate King Roger's ship. Navy hero Garp, Admiral Candidate Momo Rabbit, the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and many other powerful people. This is not a treasure trove, it is a trap. Quick, run. The pirates ran away. By the way, have you seen Ace? Marco flew over and asked. Dragon, is that so? Sorry to bother you, I won't stay any longer. Marco flew away without hesitation. What do you want to do here? Rayleigh, Garp asked sternly. Rayleigh laughed. Don't mind, I won't be your enemy. I'll just help to clear out the pirates that are attacking. Since you are all here, there won't be any big problems in this country. If nothing happens, I'll withdraw. Rayleigh said, smashing several pirate ships with a knife, and boarded his own boat and left. Are you here to liberate this country, Dragon? Garp glared at Dragon. No, I just want to help the poor people in this country get out of the sea of suffering. Dragon shook his head. Go away. Garp waved his hand. Mr. Garp, Jiwan whispered. It's okay. It's not the right time to go to war with many legends. Let's solve the trouble in Alabasta first. Garp picked his nose. Former rebel headquarters, Catalia. Now it's no longer called the Rebel Army. After realizing that they were deceived by Baroque works, they gave up attacking the Kingdom Army and turned to fight against the pirates coming from all directions. Pirates. There are so many pirates. The cadres of Baroque works are among them. Leader Kosa said in shock. What should we do? Many former rebels were confused. Rubbish, what should I do? A cool female voice sounded. Are you going to die or fight? Choose your fate. The woman waved the flag slowly. Does the hero have to be someone else? Maybe you are the hero. The flag continued to wave, and everyone seemed to have a fire burning in their hearts. Come on, go, drive out all the invading pirates. Come on, go forward. Fight your own destiny. And you, the woman turned to the people in the city, do you want to wait for death here? Pick up your weapons and fight against evil. Yes, we want to fight. Drive the pirates out of our country. Charge, let the people of Baroque works pay the price. One call and 100 responses, everyone rushed with unimaginable will, and the members of Baroque works and a group of pirates fell like wheat. Senior cadres of Baroque works, Mr. 4, Miss Golden Week, captured. The woman lit a cigarette. Revolutionary Army Captain, Betty. Betty left quickly and did the same in other cities to suppress countless pirates active in the country. Alabasta, main city, rainy land. After Crocodile dispatched all the people of Baroque works to search for clues about Pluto, they found nothing and could only withdraw to his base camp. Has Mr. 1 not come back yet? Crocodile asked his men. There is no news about Mr. 1 yet. Crocodile's men replied. Who came after the news about Pluto was leaked? Crocodile's eyes were gloomy. Sir, according to the intelligence, Navy hero Garp and Navy headquarters Admiral Candidate Peach Rabbit appeared at the port. The figure of the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Dragon, appeared, and the captain of the Revolutionary Army, Betty, was active. Pluto Rayleigh appeared at the port, and the captain of the second team of the Whitebeard pirates, Phoenix Marco, appeared. Crocodile's face became more and more gloomy. What Crocodile didn't know was that Mr. One could no longer come back, because unfortunately, he ran into Zoro on the way to find clues about Pluto. Baroque Works senior executive, Crocodile's confidant, Mr. One, it's you. Zoro said coldly. Let's fight quickly. Nami beside him took out the weather stick. Crocodile is destined to become the man of the Pirate King, I will be his pillar. I am a blade man who ate the quick-cut fruit, my whole body can be turned into a blade, you think you can cut steel? Mr. One shouted. Zoro pulled out the Sandai Kitetsu. Frog in the well, can't you see how big the world is? Pay attention in your next life. After Zoro finished speaking, he cut him in half with a knife, a die-hard crocodile. Mr. Dragon, it's time to start. Luffy called Den Den Mushi. Dragon was silent, raised his palm in the desert, and in an instant, a strong wind blew up, rolling up sand and dust. The sandstorm went towards all the main cities except the rainy land. Sandstorm is coming. What's going on? Pirates are invading, natural disasters and man-made disasters are coming together. It's the sand fruit, it's Crocodile. Crocodile has begun to retaliate against our country. Isn't Crocodile's enemy the royal family? Why don't they let us civilians go? Where's the navy? Where is the navy? The navy is defending against pirate invasions in the open sea, and it's already too busy. Royal family, kingdom army. Yes, His Majesty the King and His Royal Highness the Princess can save us. Let's go to the capital and rescue the king and princess. On this day, the civilians in the main cities of Joba, Rapeseed, Aluma, and Catalya finally remembered who was the enemy in this country and who could save them. Many civilians spontaneously organized themselves after the disaster and marched towards Arubana in a mighty manner. Only after their vital interests were harmed did they remember the goodness of the royal family. Your Majesty, Princess Vivi, please save us. Someone knelt in front of the palace gate and prayed. Crocodile, release the king and Princess Vivi. Some people also shouted to execute Crocodile. The news reached Crocodile's ears, and Crocodile was so angry that he smashed the wall. How could I have the leisure to launch such a natural disaster at this time? Who is scheming me? Joba, I have a bounty of 120 million. A vicious pirate shouted. Support, request support. There are enemies that cannot be dealt with here. The Navy's defense line retreated step by step. One person came over, and the other found a commanding height and set up a sniper rifle. No need for support anymore. Sanji patted the Navy's shoulder, just treat me as a passing adventurer. The Navy didn't react. Sanji walked forward, his feet burning with flames. 120 million, looks weak. Have you ever been kicked by fire? Flash kick. Sanji kicked the wanted criminal and sent him flying backwards, causing a huge explosion in the distance. His chest burnt. Sure enough, he's so weak. Usopp was at a high place, shooting one little pirate. The Navy stared at each other, and just as they were about to keep the two, Sanji and Usopp had already left. Akin and Chopper were also cleaning up the pirates in Alabasta in Aluma, with great efficiency. There's a monster. The pirates who landed were defeated. It turned out that Chopper's gigantism caused the pirates to be afraid, but it was no big deal. Akin would deal with the pirates who were shouting. Luffy, Vivi, Cobra and Nico Robin have sneaked into the underground dark room where the historical text is stored. Is this the historical text of Alabasta? Robin stroked the huge square stone. It actually records the location of Pluto, one of the three ancient weapons, is it? Luffy sighed. Robin looked at Luffy in surprise. Can you understand it? Luffy, no, but I have other sources of information. Robin continued to read the historical text with great interest. It is recorded here that Pluto is in Wano country. Cobra, hey, is it really okay to say it directly like this? Luffy, it doesn't matter. This also proves that even if Crocodile finds this, it will be useless. Wano country is the base of 4 emperors Kaido of beasts. Even if Crocodile sneaks into Wano country with great difficulty, he can't take Pluto away. 4 emperors, Vivi said in surprise. Luffy, that's right, with Crocodile's strength, if he enters Wano country, he will either be forced to join the beast's pirates or die at the hands of Kaido. His ambition is destined to be unrealized. Let's go. The purpose of coming here has been achieved, Robin, and it's up to you to perform next. Luffy left with the three of them. When Alabasta was hit by natural and man-made disasters, a blind swordsman suddenly entered Alabasta. Hee, I can't watch this country fall into dire straits. The blind swordsman raised his staff, and the sandstorm that swept across the country began to dissipate under the invisible powerful force, and then hit the pirates who invaded the kingdom from all directions. Let's borrow the power of sand to help defend this disaster-stricken country. Do a little bit of strength. Countless people watched this scene in shock, and they couldn't help themselves for a long time. Hee, find a casino to gamble for fun. The blind swordsman put away his staff and sword, and said to himself. He found a stall in Alabasta and sat on the ground. At this time, Luffy's observation haki also sensed the arrival of a strong man. After carefully sensing it, he said excitedly, "Did you actually lead this person here too? What a pleasant surprise." Quote, Fujitora, the later admiral of the Navy in the original work, arrived with a smile. In Alabasta, a purple-robed blind swordsman found a card table and sat down, participating in the card game as if no one else was around. Amid the noisy crowd, this man seemed to have integrated into the environment of this country, but also seemed to be out of tune with the country full of smoke. Let's play this. Guess the size of the card and the bigger one wins. The purple-robed blind swordsman was a little nervous at this time. Ha ha ha, uncle, you are also in a leisurely mood, playing cards at this time. A gambler next to him laughed. Aren't you the same? In life, you always have to have some hobbies. The purple-robed blind swordsman joked. Ha ha ha, indeed, we don't care about the flood outside, it's enough for us to live comfortably. The gamblers laughed. The purple-robed blind swordsman, no, it should be said that Yi Xiao did not respond, but focused on the game and said, "This time, I'm betting on the small one. Betting on it, betting on it." After Luffy settled Cobra, Vivi, and Nico Robin, he left his residence. Luffy came to the street entrance and quietly observed the later admiral of the Navy in the original work from a distance. The observation haki sensed that Yi Xiao at this time had no hostility or fighting intention, as if he was an ordinary blind old man blending into the environment, without a trace of domineering, like a calm lake. But Luffy knew very well that this seemingly ordinary old man had the power to easily change the world. Luffy. A low voice sounded. A gust of wind blew, and Mr. Dragon quietly sat next to Luffy, but Mr. Dragon did not relax at all. His expression was tense. Is this a hidden strong man? This person gives me the feeling that he is no less powerful than the Admiral of the Navy. He should not be an enemy, right? Luffy shook his head. From the current standpoint, this person will not be an enemy. It is better to say that this person is more likely to win over our side. Are you serious? This person is very dangerous. Dragon raised his eyebrows when he heard this. Luffy stopped observing and walked straight forward. Old man, why don't you let me bet with you? Luffy smiled slightly and asked. Luffy knew that Yi Xiao in the original book was addicted to gambling, and it would be difficult to communicate without proposing a bet. Oh, this young gentleman is not peeking around. Yi Xiao laughed when he heard this. Mr. Dragon also walked in from the back and participated in it as if no one else was around. Luffy was a little embarrassed. Old gentleman has a sharp eye, and his observation haki is amazing. Haha, although I can't see with my eyes, my heart is not blind. Are you with that gentleman? You two have committed a lot of murder, but I can feel the righteousness in you. Yi Xiao said with a smile. Drager also said with some embarrassment, Sir, you are really wise. Yi Xiao. Haha, it's okay. I didn't expect to meet two such people in such a place. Is this gentleman the leader of the Revolutionary Army? It's really better to meet in person than to hear about it. But this extraordinary young gentleman doesn't seem to have made a name for himself. Please forgive me for my ignorance. I didn't know that there was such a young man on the Grand Line. This Mr. Yi Xiao didn't want to see the world's filth and blind himself, but his observation haki is the best in the world, which can distinguish people's good and evil, and even emotions. The crowd was noisy, and no one noticed the few people communicating at the card table in the corner. Dragon and Luffy looked at each other, and then answered honestly, I am not talented, it is me. My name is Monkey D. Luffy, and I am very happy to meet you, old man. Luffy also became more literary. Yi Xiao. I don't deserve it. My name is Yi Xiao, and I am glad to meet you too. I wonder what Mr. Luffy wants to bet on. Luffy smiled. Mr. Yi Xiao, why don't we try something new? Luffy called the dealer and took out several blank cards. He drew 3 figures of rock, scissors, and cloth on the blank cards, and then put all the drawn cards into the iron box. Yi Xiao looked at this scene with interest. Oh, I wonder what the game is. Luffy. Mr. Yi Xiao, this gambling game is called Rock Paper Scissors Game. The 2 parties in the gambling game each draw 3 cards from the iron box. These 3 patterns of rock restrain scissors, scissors restrain cloth, and cloth restrains rock. Next, we use these 3 patterns of cards to determine the winner. If the cards are the same, draw another card from the remaining 2 cards in your hand and continue to compare. If the cards drawn by both parties are the same 3 times, then the gambling game is a tie. Mr. Yi Xiao, please, Luffy said and randomly drew 3 cards from the iron box. Yi Xiao laughed. Interesting, there is such a novel way to play, I will accompany you to the end. Yi Xiao also randomly drew a card from the iron box. The machine draws 3 cards. Luffy and Yi Xiao play cards at the same time. Pa. The result is revealed. Luffy cloth, Yi Xiao scissors. Luffy loses for the first time. Ha 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 ha, it seems that the god of luck favors me. Yi Xiao laughed heartily. It seems that the god of luck is not on my side in the first sentence. Luffy said calmly. In the next few games, Luffy and Yi Xiao won and lost, and even Mr. Raedrig got involved, as if it had nothing to do with what happened in the outside world. Ha ha ha, it's so refreshing, Mr. Luffy, Mr. Raedrig, I haven't been so happy for a long time. Although I am blind, I can see a lot, both of you are wonderful people. Mr. Yi Xiao looked into the distance with emotion. Dorag. Oh, Mr. Yi Xiao is blind. How far can you see in this world? Yi Xiao. There are too many filthy people in this world that are unbearable to look at, so I blinded myself. Although I can't see now, it is really a pity. I have justice in my heart, otherwise I would not come here. I am willing to help this country survive this disaster. Of course, if I can join the Navy and become a Navy Admiral, I can change the current situation of this sea and practice my glorious ambition. Ku Fei and Dorag looked at each other and understood. Dorag asked, Mr. Yi Xiao, do you really think that the Navy under the constraints of the world government and Tianlong can really realize the glorious ideals and ambitions in your heart? Mr. Yi Xiao, even if you really become the Admiral of the Navy, or even the Admiral of the Navy, can you change all this? To be honest, Mr. Yi Xiao, the world nobles who rule the world with hegemony and power will not listen to your opinions just because you are the Admiral of the Navy or even the Admiral of the Navy. They will not stop collecting the sky gold, nor will they release the oppressed slaves. The Navy can't really change the status quo of this sea. Yi Xiao was shocked. Mr. Dorag, I heard that Your Excellency you were promoted to Vice Admiral in the Navy before. Why did you decide to leave the Navy? Quote. Drag sighed. Just like you, Mr. Yi Xiao. I couldn't bear to see the Navy doing nothing and harboring filth, so I decided to leave. The Navy is full of intrigues, and even if you have a high position, you are still a lackey of the world nobles. In the final analysis, in my eyes, as long as the Navy still depends on the world government, the Navy will always be a tool that can be discarded at any time. Mr. Yi Xiao was shocked. This person's opinion cannot be taken lightly. If that is true, then what is the meaning of his goal to become a glorious admiral of the Navy? How much can he change by his own strength? Luffy then said, Mr. Yi Xiao, the source of all evil in this world is the world's noble celestial dragons. These pigs control the world's power and have created so many sensational things. Such as the tragedy of O'Hara, the tragedy of Fisher Tiger, the tragedy of former Admiral Zephyr, etc. They are the source of evil. As long as they are not eliminated, the world will be uneasy. How many innocent people die tragically every year because of celestial gold, and how many times the Navy has to swallow its anger because of the world's nobles? It's too much to count. Yi Xiao was silent. Dragon said again, Mr. Yi Xiao, I sincerely invite you to explore the truth of the world with our revolutionary army. We want to burn this corrupt old world. The change of the world pattern will inevitably lead to bloody revolutions, and many innocent people may be sacrificed. But this glorious revolution will eventually make more people in the world have a beautiful and happy life. Yi Xiao frowned. Revolutionary Army. What is the difference between your revolutionary army and the navy? I heard that you have stirred up disputes in various countries and overthrown the old government, but in the end, there is still not much change. That's another story, Mr. Yi Xiao. Dragon said excitedly. After we had a good talk with Luffy, we already have a new revolutionary program. A new revolutionary route. We will no longer be the revolutionary army will announce to the world at the right time that it has been reborn. Yi Xiao was a little confused when he heard this. Oh, I wonder what Mr. Luffy has to say. Luffy knew that if he wanted to win over such a strong man, he had to reason with him and move him with his emotions, so he said. Mr. Yi Xiao, the current enemies of the revolutionary army are evil people who are reactionary, anti-justice, and anti-peace. This has nothing to do with identity, but with behavior. As long as you do evil, you will be the enemy of the revolutionary army. This will help the revolutionary army to win over the hearts of the people at this stage. When the people are in favor, the revolutionary army can respond to the call. The revolutionary army has already started to do this in a planned way, and it will be fine if it continues. The enemies of the future are not all the world government, that would be too generalized. The revolutionary army is not the enemies that come should be aristocracy and the powerful ruling class. That is, the celestial dragons who hold the highest power in the world government. They are the root of all evil in this world. Therefore, when the revolution reaches a certain stage, the navy and the world government may not all be enemies, and the knowledgeable people among them will also raise the banner of resistance. Quote. One smile and one surprise. Really far-sighted, what else? Luffy said the revolutionary army program that he had told Mr. Dragon before. The new revolutionary program of the revolutionary army is a democratic revolutionary program against war and the aristocracy. The specific content is try to eliminate the civil strife in the world and unite all races. Advocate the revolutionary concept of peace, stability, equality and development. Complete the main theme of the world revolution with equality. No one in the world, no race is superior to others, and everyone is an equal race living under the same sky. We need to move forward, don't give up on ourselves, don't be anxious, do whatever we can. If you have a little heat, you can give out a little light. A spark can start a prairie fire, and the torch will eventually appear. We don't have to wait for the torch. If there is no torch in the future, each of us can become our own torch. Quote. No need to wait for the torch, each of us can become a torch. Mr. Yi Xiao murmured to himself, I see. I am very curious, who is Mr. Luffy, and how can he come to such a conclusion? Luffy showed his signature smile. I am Monkey D. Luffy, and I am now the captain of the Straw Hat Adventure Group. Adventure Group. Yi Xiao was a little confused. What is the purpose? My goal is to create a perfect ending towards the Sea of Stars, and to change this deformed world. Pirate King Gall D. Roger created the Great Pirate Era, and we will end the Great Pirate Era. The next era will be created by all of us. Luffy said in a sonorous voice. D's will has never died. Yi Xiao sighed. Then I wonder if you know anything about the current situation in Alabasta. Or is it that you, Mr. Luffy, are the mastermind behind all this? Quote. This is what we are going to be honest with you about, Mr. Yi Xiao. There are too many people here, please move. Luffy and Dragon looked at each other and said. Please lead the way. Yi Xiao made a gesture of invitation. Luffy, Dragon, and Yi Xiao then came to a quiet tea room, where no one would disturb them for the time being. Luffy, Mr. Yi Xiao. First of all, the unrest in Alabasta is indeed due to the conspiracy of Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, to seize power and obtain Hades, but we have made a bigger plan to solve all the internal and external troubles of Alabasta. Oh, why do you say that? Yi Xiao said in shock. Dragon. There is no Hades in Alabasta at all, but there is indeed news about Hades. Our revolutionary army cooperates with Luffy and others, and the main purpose is to sacrifice Crocodile. It's really shocking, but does the leader of this country agree? Yi Xiao asked. Luffy then called out Princess Vivi and King Cobra who were hiding in the dark. We can testify and we can trust Luffy and his efforts, because this country is getting better visibly. The plan is excellent, and Crocodile, that fool, is now in a desperate situation. King Cobra and Princess Vivi came out. Great. It seems that traveling with you is really a good thing. If you need my help, I will do my best. Mr. Yishao said excitedly. No, Mr. Yishao no longer needs to show off his power, just ask Mr. Yishao to accompany us on the stage. Luffy said with a smile. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.